decade, maybe.
Good morning. It was a thrilling day of upsets in the Six Nations, with England dramatically beating Ireland at Twickenham, while Scotland was stunned by Italy in Rome. In the Premier League, the title race is hotting up. It's Liverpool against Manchester City from Anfield this afternoon.
Hello there, good morning. It is a cloudy, damp start for many of us first thing. Will it improve at all? Will there be some sunshine? Find out all the weather details coming up soon.
Well, it's lovely to be with you today. I'm Anne Diamond.
And I'm Ellie Costello, and this is Breakfast on GB News. Well, happy Mother's Day, Anne.
Thank you very much.
Very happy Mother's Day to you.
Yeah,
You're having a lovely day so far?
Well, it is early, isn't it?
It is early, yes.
And I doubt any of my sons are up yet. But no doubt, actually, have I had any messages?
I was about to say, have you had any lovely messages?
I think my WhatsApp has been going ding a couple of times, so maybe some of them are up. But we are doing a lunch later.
Are you?
Nice. Yeah.
Are they taking you out?
We don't know whether we're going out or staying in yet. It's a surprise.
Well, I hope they're cooking for you if you're staying in.
No, I'm not expected to cook.
Good.
Yeah, in fact, I don't think they like my cooking that much anyway, so they all think they're better cooks than me.
Oh, that would be lovely.
So, no, it will be.
And are all of them coming
nice.
over?
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
well, isn't that a treat to have them all together? How often do you get them all together now?
Oh, less and less often.
Yeah.
But we do important days.
Yeah.
And then when we realise we haven't met up for a while, then that's just an excuse for it as well.
Oh.
They all like eating in restaurants, so that makes it quite nice too.
That makes it nice and easy when you all get together.
Tell you what, Mother's Day is a difficult day as well, I think, for some people who are not mothers and who maybe want to have been. There was just a lovely piece in the Telegraph today. I was just reading it a minute ago. The four women who got together over their mutual loss of babies. They kept miscarrying, each of them. So on Mother's Day, they used to go out for a girly lunch together and just celebrate their friendship. But they persevered. And as it says there, we lost 14 babies between us, but now we are mothers.
Oh, isn't that a lovely piece?
So, and I think their message is that miscarriage is a terrible tragedy because people don't talk about it very much. In fact, often because it happens before your friends or even relatives know you're pregnant. But it's terribly, terribly painful. And Mothering Sunday must be very difficult for some people, I think.
I think it must be very difficult, especially for those who've lost their mothers, and it's the first year without their mothers. I think that must be very difficult. And for those who've lost babies, as you say, and they've got babies in heaven, that's difficult as well.
Right, yeah.
And you'd be thinking of those on this day. So it is a very difficult day for those.
But it's also a joyful day if you are blessed with still having your mum or you are a mum. How are you planning to spend it? Do let us know. And also, if you just want to send a message to a very wonderful mother, then do it through us. Get in touch today, gbviews@gbnews.com. No, it used to be
.com now.
That's it. Thank you.
And that would be nice. That would be our honour, actually, this morning to share those messages. So do keep them coming in.
Absolutely brilliant. And it's Crufts today as well. And I do want to just be a bit controversial.
Yes, you do.
Because, you know, it was Miss World last night, and we were one of the few countries that didn't. We decided not to show it, and I applaud that because I think it's a dreadful way. In the 21st century, we shouldn't be judging people on their looks in the way that we do. It's terribly patronising and horrible. But I also think the same of dogs. And I think Crufts, although it's sometimes quite cute to look at it, why do it... Now, you see, that's the part of Crufts I like. We're showing the sort of, you know...
Agility, is that
agility and obedience. And I think there's nothing more wonderful than a dog who has been trained well. But it's all the primping and preening and making dogs look not like dogs. That's what I really don't like.
And the interbreeding that often leads to
pedigree
breeds. Yeah, that is cruel.
The dogs that really have such squashed-in noses or funny little legs that they can't live a proper life. But, I mean, at the moment, we're seeing the sort of dogs you would be proud of and the wagging tails. That, yes, I know that shows they enjoy the fuss. But... You know, all the primping and preening and the making dogs look silly.
And the interbreeding.
Like that.
The interbreeding is
yes,
very cruel.
But I think
Crufts is very cute. But that's just because I love dogs so much, so I'd watch them all the time. And I love watching it, but I understand what you're saying.
Yes, I mean, I'm not saying it of all of the breeds at all.
No.
And I think a lot of the breeders would feel the same way. They like the intelligence thing, they like the agility thing. And I mean, and a dog can be a total pleasure and a real member of the family.
Yeah.
But all the primping and preening and making them look stupid, please don't do it,
No.
Crufts.
And I hope that the dogs are happy as well, because that would be the concern, wouldn't it?
The
That
wagging
primping
tail
and preening
usually shows.
Usually shows they are. But I hope they don't find it distressing.
Anyway, we'd love your view on that. Maybe you think I'm just being too harsh.
Yeah. Do let us know. gbviews@gbnews.com.
Now to our top story this morning. Tens of thousands of pro-Palestinian demonstrators have filled the streets of the capital and elsewhere again.
Well, despite the Met Police revealing there were no significant public order disturbances, it's the actions of the Metropolitan Police which are coming under scrutiny today.
Yes, a counter-protester who displayed a Hamas is terrorism placard was arrested after protesters turned on him, and that led to a brawl.
Well, police said he was arrested for assault before being de-arrested after officers reviewed the footage.
De-arrested. However, after his arrest, he spoke, and this is what he had to say.
He told me, is it a danger for your life and for the people when they see maybe attacked you?
And what did your sign say exactly?
Hamas is terrorist. This is it?
Yeah.
Nope.
That was the sign.
Police.
And that's what your sign said.
I told to police, they attacked me, and I want to complain. He said, go to police station near your home.
In a statement released after his arrest and de-arrest, the Met clarified the initial arrest was not made in relation to his placard.
Well, let's speak now to Nathaniel Ogani, who joins us live this morning. Very good to see you this morning, Nathaniel. So what did you make of the scenes that we saw yesterday?
Good morning. So it was a bit of a disaster, I think, for the Metropolitan Police, who are responsible for policing in London. I think if you look at the policing of the protests yesterday and you look at the policing of the illegal protest that took place on Tower Bridge last week, they set off flares, they blocked traffic. And so I think the Met Police do have a few questions to answer. You might remember last Friday, the Prime Minister set out that he'd be issuing, in collaboration with the Home Secretary, new guidance for police forces up and down the country.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems to the average onlooker as though the police simply don't know what to do that's right. And you can only surmise that they're not getting the right sort of leadership that they each individual policeman deserves, let alone what the public deserve.
Right, and within London, that's an issue for the Police and Crime Commissioner, who, of course, is the Mayor.
Yes, of course. When we're talking about the Cabinet, it does feel as though the Home Secretary, James Cleverly and the like, they are losing patience with the scenes that we're seeing on a Saturday. James Cleverly last week saying, I think you've made your point now. And then we've got Michael Gove this week in the Telegraph telling good-willing people, his message, good-willing people, to not march alongside extremists.
Well, it's not only cabinet ministers that are losing their patience. I think many people in London are losing it too. You find the former cabinet minister, Robert Jenrick, wrote last week in the Daily Mail discussing the impact of these protests. I think you find that actually a lot of Jewish people feel unsafe in the city at the weekend, and that's an unacceptable outcome.
OK, well, no doubt we're going to be seeing more of this as the weeks go on. Nathaniel, thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Of course.
Thank you. As you look back on what happened yesterday, but my goodness, in the newspapers today, it's all royal stories.
So, yes, we're reflecting that this morning.
There's a lot going on. So let's go to our royal news now. And the big sort of bombshell thing that's landed is the memoir that's been written by Earl Spencer. That's, of course, the brother of Princess Diana. And the Mail on Sunday is running it today, and reading it makes the hairs on the back of your neck stand on end, because in it, he talks about how he was sexually abused as a child at boarding school.
Well, in an extract of his soon-to-be-released memoir, serialised in the Mail on Sunday today, Earl Spencer reveals he was targeted by a female member of staff at Maidwell Hall in Northamptonshire in the 1970s. And this abuse, he says, began when he was just 11 years old.
Yeah, and the abuse went on from the headmaster as well. It's just spine-tingling to read it. He's now 59, of course, and Earl Spencer alleges all that abuse began when he was 11 years old and has damaged him ever since. In a statement, the school has now said it is difficult to read about practices which were sadly sometimes believed to be normal and almost acceptable at the time. Almost every facet of school life has evolved significantly since the 1970s. At the heart of the changes is the safeguarding of children and the promotion of their welfare.
Well, joining us now is royal correspondent Michael Cole. Good to see you this morning, Michael. And this is a very distressing read, isn't it, from Earl Spencer?
Good morning, Ellie. Good morning, Anne. Absolutely appalling. And his late father, Johnny Spencer, who I knew very well, and his stepmother, Rain Spencer, who I knew for 48 years and gave the eulogy at her memorial service, they would have been appalled had they known this was going on so close to Althorpe, the stately home of the Spencer family. Shocking. And when I think how Diana protected her little brother. He was only 4 and she was 6 when their mother, Frances, walked out. And ever after, she looked after him. Diana, fortunately, had a happy time at her prep school, Riddlesworth Hall, near Thetford in Norfolk. But this is shocking and disgraceful. And the people, most of those people, neither of them alive still, should hang their heads in hell or wherever they are. There we see Earl Spencer, who's made a good career for himself as an author and historian. A very clever guy. He could have got a first at Oxford, but he's come through a lot. And fortunately, in recent years, by people like Matt Ridley, son of Nicholas Ridley, the politician, they've done a lot to expose this sort of thing that went on at that time. I think it's shocking, actually, to hear the schools say that it was regarded as normal. Well, it wasn't normal where I lived. I'm so glad that I didn't have an expensive education because my parents and those around us, my family, would have been shocked by such things. And of course, as Charles Spencer says, it's left a scar on his life. And I think this, without doubt, that must do. Appalling. And that such things were regarded as normal at the time is awful. But of course, he went on to Eton, and I think he had a much happier time there. And he's carried on the tradition of the Spencer family at Althorpe ever since.
It's worth pointing out, though, as well, Michael, isn't it, that while some people hearing this for the first time and reading it today may think, oh, here we got another royal whinging and blaming everybody else, he has done extensive research and has found that so many of his contemporaries at the school were too ashamed to say anything at the time, but are quite happy to corroborate what went on there. It's not just him, in other words. This is clearly a huge problem, and his telling of it is truthful.
Terrible. Yeah, it was a pattern that went on at these sort of schools. You read about it at Eton, or you get hints of it elsewhere. But it is vile because children are vulnerable. They are in the power of these people. There is no escape. You're within the bounds of that school. What says they're regarded when you start as gods, and then you suddenly find the gods have absolutely not only feet of clay, they have evil intentions. And I think something like that happening, whether it's a little girl or a little boy, it can scar them for life. So it's deplorable, it's contemptible. And if we can root out that in our present society, we'll have done a very, very good thing indeed.
Yeah, absolutely appalling, Michael. In happier news, I did want to reflect on Prince Edward at 60, because there have been some really beautiful words exchanged between himself and his wife, Sophie, this week, hasn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. He he got quite emotional and he didn't mind showing it. I think it was when she said, "You're my best friend." I think that was it. In fact, quite a rare public showing of emotion in the royal family. There we are, Prince Edward. He was, of course, I remember very well, 60 years ago, the newspaper bulletins were printed in blue and in Savoy. Queen, of course, was 38, which was then considered quite an advanced age to give birth to a new baby. I knew Edward. I mean, he didn't have a terribly easy time of it. He had to struggle. He had to try harder than the rest. And I knew him when he was trying to make a success of television production at Ardent Productions. He worked with Desmond Wilcox, Esther Ranson's late husband. Desi held his hand for a long time with programs, and I helped him with a program on the Duke of Windsor, which was called Edward on Edward. And I got to know him. He was a little bit brittle. He was a little bit difficult at the time. And of course, unfortunately, the company Ardent failed, which I think probably he didn't realize how difficult television is. He had a rather posh office with an atrium and marble and leggy secretaries running around. Well, when you have the appurtenances of success, but you don't have success, you can burn through a lot of money very, very, very quickly. And that's what happened. And eventually the royal family said, no, pack it up, Edward, just become a royal. And he's made a good success of that. And at this time, with a diminishing number of active royals, working royals as they're being called, he's coming into his own. And he belatedly was made Duke of Edinburgh, which was always promised to him by his father. And his big success, and I've seen him at work on several occasions at dinners, he's been a successful leader of the Duke of Edinburgh award scheme, which of course he inherited from his father, and now in his own title and in his own right, and he's taking it forward. And a lot of young people are benefiting from his work.
Yeah, absolutely. And Sophie's been a star as well. Michael, thank you so much. Good to talk, as ever.
Thank you
much
very
royal
much.
news today. Yeah, I mean, Sophie's turned out to be a complete star.
Isn't she class?
Yes.
I have so much time for her after the passing of the late Queen, and the emotion and the love that she so clearly
she came
had.
out to the people outside Windsor Castle, didn't she? And she spoke to them in a way that people needed to hear. She talked about how he passed peacefully and she held his hand. And I mean, honestly, she was such a star.
No.
And I think I'm so glad that they've become Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, because it's a fitting.
And it's so lovely to see so
reward
much
for them.
more of them. And you know, as Michael was just reflecting, they are stepping up to the plate now, and they really are having their moment. And it's so
They've turned
lovely.
out to be such a success story. He didn't have an easy time at the beginning when he tried to join the Marines, and that sort of failed, and everybody regarded him as a wimp. I think he had terrible trouble. But Sophie has been the strength behind him, I think.
The making of him.
Yeah, it really has. And they've got a lovely family, and they all do well, and there's somebody to be proud of.
Yeah.
I think that's brilliant.
I've got lots of time for the two of them.
Can't believe he's 60, though.
Yeah.
He's always been the kid of the family, really.
I know.
hasn't he?
And there's the most wonderful photo of him on the front of the Sunday Express today with a lovely tiny Labrador.
Yeah.
There he is, Prince Edward. Happy birthday to him.
And we are wondering whether we're going to get an official photograph for Mother's Day from Kensington Palace at some point during the morning. Obviously, as soon as we get it, we'll show you whether it will be of Princess Catherine or maybe just William and the children. Who knows? But there's a sort of hint that we're going to get an official Kensington Palace Mother's Day photograph.
Well, I hope
But it
so.
can't leave Kate out then.
It would be wonderful to see her. Yeah, well,
it really would be.
I guess it depends whether it's a recent photo or whether it's an older one, and a lot will be ready
Well,
for
we'll
that,
see.
I'm sure.
Anyway.
We will see. We'll bring it to you here on Breakfast.
Yes, and so happy Mother's Day. And don't forget to get in touch with us if you want to give a call out to a mother you particularly love and value, or tell us how you're celebrating Mother's Day today. gbviews@gbnews.com.
Now, the time is 90 minutes past 6. If you have just joined us, here's a reminder of our top stories. And the Ministry of Defence has confirmed reports of a fire on board its flagship aircraft carrier HMS Queen Elizabeth. The Royal Navy vessel is currently docked in Scotland. The MOD said the fire was quickly brought under control with no reported injuries.
A United States military ship is heading towards the Middle East, carrying aid equipment to build the temporary pier that we're hearing so much about off the coast of Gaza. President Biden has confirmed that the US would build this floating harbour to get help and more aid to Gaza by sea, after aid deliveries by land and air have proved really difficult and, in some cases, dangerous.
Humberside police have removed a number of bodies from the premises of a funeral director in Hull after reports of concern for care of the deceased. Cordons are in place at 3 branches of Legacy Independent Funeral Directors in East Yorkshire. They're investigating whether any criminal offences have been committed.
Well, as you cannot escape, it's Mother's Day today. A time to celebrate mothers everywhere.
Yes, gifts and cards are being brought to shower our mums in love and affection, along with going out for food and drinks to mark the occasion. Mother's Day is also a boost for businesses.
It must be a huge boost to business. Our Yorkshire reporter Anna Riley went along to a Mother's Day event in Harrogate, which is aimed at increasing trade in the town this weekend.
3, 2, 1, go! It's Mothering Fun Day in Harrogate, a free inflatable event for mums and children to win top Mother's Day themed prizes. The Dash and Grab game is hosted by Harrogate Improvement District, with the aim of boosting sales for businesses in the town this weekend.
I think at the moment it's really important to support local businesses because we're in a cost of living crisis. There's challenges around the budget was announced this week, so there's challenges around business rates, around rent that businesses pay. So every penny that people can support local businesses and national retailers really does matter. So whether it's Harrogate or whether it's other town or city centre, it's really important now more than ever to support your local town. So Mother's Day, Father's Day, Christmas, summer holidays, it's just a really good time to support businesses, to increase footfall, increase spend and just celebrate those people that matter to you.
Bouncing with joy, mums and kids here enjoy the tradition of Mother's Day. It's a special occasion to honour and appreciate mothers for their love, care and hard work.
Well, I think it's nice. I think mums often do a lot of stuff, quite thankless stuff, don't they? So, yeah, it's nice to be recognised.
I'm going to be able to spend it with my mum and my partner's mum, but also this one as well. So we're going to have a really nice day together celebrating Harrogate.
And how
it's going to be really fun because it's about loving your mum. It's a happy Mother's Day and we wanted to celebrate for our Mother's Day. She looks after us. I going to the shops and getting her some chocolate. It shows her that she's really special and we all love her, so it's just nice to have a special day to celebrate her.
With shoppers in Britain expected to spend £1.7 billion on Mother's Day this year, the celebration is a triumph for trade as well as a fun time for families. Anna Riley, GB News, Harrogate.
Well, happy Mother's Day to all mothers out there, including you, Anne.
Thank you.
And my lovely mum, Joan, who may or may not be up yet, depends if the dog's up or not, I think, and my granny as well, Dorothy. And they're the best mum and the best granny in the whole world. I'm very, very lucky. So happy Mother's Day to the two of you.
Absolutely. And don't forget to get in touch with us if you want us to give a call out to a mum you especially admire or love. You know how to do it. It's gbnews@gbnews.com. Now, let's go to the United States, where you are no doubt feeling a sense of déjà vu. They must be. President Biden and former President Trump are back on the campaign trail.
Yes, both Biden and Trump have headed to Georgia, where they're both continuing their primary campaigns in one of the country's most marginal states.
Well, the chair of Republicans Overseas UK, Greg Spencer, is here with us now. Hello. Why are they both in Georgia? Why is it such an important place?
It's one of the swing states. Biden won it in 2020, Trump won it in 2016, so it's considered a swing state. My guess is Trump will win it this time around, but it's an important state for both candidates right now.
So are they in the same venue? I mean, are they going to be speaking at each other?
No, they will not. that would be exciting.
Fireworks,
and I don't think there will be that occasion. It'll be the first time since 1960 or 56 that there wasn't a televised debate between candidates.
You don't think there will be?
Biden just doesn't want to, and I can't imagine his handlers would allow him to.
No.
He was able to get through Thursday night with State of the Union address without any major gaffes, plenty of small ones, but I just can't imagine they would let him, because I think Trump would just really crush him in a debate.
I mean, but following on from that State of the Union address, Biden, to be fair to him, did seem to have the energy last night. He continued on those punchy points.
Yeah.
And talking about his age, he was saying, look, I know I'm old.
Right.
He knows that's his weakest point.
Sure.
But he says, look, this is just experience.
Yeah, you know, if Thursday's goal, and I think it was to demonstrate that he could get through an hour and a half speech without any major gaffes or you know, energy problems, you know, they did a good job. Whether it was enhanced with, you know, miracle drugs or steroids or whatever, I'm kidding. But, you know, he did succeed in doing that, because it was an hour and a half of sort of primal scream therapy, and designed really as a proof of life moment. Just, you know, that was the goal.
It really, and it came across that way, didn't it?
It did, yeah.
It was almost too good.
It was 100% campaign speech. It was very angry. He was shouting the whole time. I think he needed to do that, because whenever he started meandering at the end of a topic or a statement, he'd start screaming again. And I think that was in order to just keep that energy.
But he sort of handled the hecklers, didn't he?
Yeah.
You know, he fought back at them.
Yeah, I mean, look, you know, if the bar was pretty low, I mean, most people just wanted to see him get through it.
Yeah.
On policy, on telling the truth, not a great night for him. But in terms of just yelling and screaming and primal scream therapy, you know, it was a good night for the president.
I mean, let's look at Donald Trump, shall we? Because he too has his problems in Georgia. Because it's home to one of the 4 criminal charges against him at the moment.
Yeah, so in Fulton County, where there's some drama going on there, because the prosecutor that was hired by the DA turned out to be her boyfriend, and that's usually frowned upon in legal circles. So, you know, that could end up being overturned just on that. But it's probably a fairly hostile jury pool. So even though these indictments don't really have a lot of merit to them, and they're clearly political, none of them were made. The indictments were not made, interestingly, until Trump declared that he was running again. So they had the evidence, so-called evidence, for 2 years and sat on it. And then when he declared, all of a sudden, you know, let's get the indictments going. So, you know, but they do have hostile juries. The only friendly jury pool possibly is in Florida, in South Florida. But Fulton County, New York, and Washington are not exactly friendly places for a conservative.
No, we've got quite a few to get through, haven't we?
Oh, yeah, it's going to be a lot of drama. And they're jammed in, you know, trying to get them done, or at least started before the election.
And I think it's just the pressure of this ongoing sequence of primaries and all that. Surely, I mean, Trump's counter-campaign adverts, they're saying, is Biden up to next year? Is he up to the year after? Is he up to this? And you wonder that about both of them, because they both have age issues, if you like. And the pressure is enormous.
No doubt about it. I mean, Trump will be, you know, if he were to win at the end of the term, he'll be the same age as Biden now. I mean, you know, that it's an issue. If you look at the polling, it definitely favors President Trump, though. So, you know, 75% of Americans think Biden is too old, and Trump's polling around 50 on that topic. So, you know, I think Trump is viewed as someone who's got, you know, more energy and more cognitive confidence. And that's really the issue for Biden. It's not the age, it's the absolute failures of his policies, but the cognitive challenge that he's experiencing. So it's pretty obvious.
Greg Spencer, good to see you this morning.
Good to be here.
Thank you very
Thanks for
much.
having me.
Indeed.
Fascinating stuff, isn't it? Only going to get more so, I think. Right, at 6:29, let's catch up with the weather. Here's Greg.
A brighter outlook with Box Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to your latest GB News weather from the Met Office. It's going to be a cloudy day today. There'll be outbreaks of light rain and drizzle, and it's still a chilly feel for the time of year too. And looking at the picture for this morning, a lot of cloud across the UK, outbreaks of rain across many areas, just a bit of sunshine towards the southwest, and that remains so for the afternoon too, but this could trigger 1 or 2 showers as we move through into the evening time. Elsewhere, generally it stays cloudy for much of the day. Outbreaks of light rain and drizzle, and the wind's still coming in off the North Sea, so a chilly feel for many of us. Into the evening time, this rain will continue to push its way westward. Still a lot of low cloud behind it, some drizzle in places too. So a damp evening to come, and that takes us into Monday as well. It remains cloudy through Sunday night. Further outbreaks of light rain and drizzle in places, some low cloud leading to some foggy conditions over the higher ground, and temperatures again falling to around mid-single figures due to the cloud cover not falling too low at all. But it does mean another cloudy grey start to Monday. Outbreaks of rain and drizzle feeding in off the North Sea, particularly down these eastern areas, remaining quite damp for much of the day. Best of any brighter spells will be towards western coast, but even here it will remain largely cloudy through the day. Some showery rain for Northern Ireland too, and temperatures just about getting into double figures. See you soon.
Looks like things are heating up. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
And now is your chance to enter our latest Great British giveaway and win £12,345 in cash and a whole host of treats.
We're springing into spring and giving you the chance to win the seasonal essentials. First, there's an incredible £12,345 in tax-free cash to be won, plus a spring shopping spree with £500 in shopping vouchers to spend in the store of your choice. And finally, a garden gadget package to enjoy, including a handheld games console, a portable smart speaker and a pizza oven. For your chance to win the vouchers, the treats and £12,345 in tax-free cash, text GBWIN to 84902. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message, or post your name and number to GB03 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 5 p.m. on Friday the 29th of March. Full terms and privacy notice at gbnews.com/win. Please check the closing time if watching or listening on demand. Good luck.
Yes, good luck indeed. Now, still to come, we'll be looking at the glitz and glam of this evening's Academy Awards with the very glitzy and very glamorous Stephanie Tetchy. She'll make it fun, I promise.
Yeah, I know. Honestly, don't you find the Oscars a bit of a bore, though?
Yeah, well, unless there's a punch-up, like with Will Smith.
Well, yeah, that was worth seeing.
That
yes,
made it interesting.
It did.
Will that happen tonight?
Who knows?
Who knows? Stay tuned. Steph will tell us next.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, and I'm not here to tell you what to think. I'd much rather hear what you have to say. So send in your opinions to gbviews@gbnews.com. Keep them clean, and you never know, I might read them out. With my panel here on Jubes & Co, we debate, we get stuck into the issues of the day on a show where all views are welcome, especially yours. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
2024, a battleground year.
The year the nation decides.
As the parties gear up their campaigns for the next general election.
Who will be left standing when the British people make one of the biggest decisions of their lives?
Who will rise?
And who will fall? Let's find out together. For every moment, the highs, the lows, the twists and turns.
We'll be with you for every step of this journey.
In 2024, GB News is Britain's election channel.
Big news, big debates, big opinion. Patrick Christie's Tonight is the week's biggest show. Every weekday, 9 to 11 p.m, we've got the inside track on the day's top stories. There'll be sharp takes you won't get anywhere else. We will set the news agenda, not just follow it, and I want to bring you along for the ride. Whatever it is, we'll have our finger on the pulse. It's news, but it's this close to entertainment. Patrick Christie's Tonight, 9 to 11 p.m, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel. GB News is the home of free speech. We were created to champion it, and we deliver it day in, day out.
Free speech allows us all to explore and debate openly the issues most important to us, our families, and of course, the British people.
Having challenging conversations to enlighten each other.
Which is why we hear all sides of the argument.
We are the People's Channel.
We will always stand by the freedom to express yourself.
On TV, radio and online.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. You are watching and listening to Breakfast with Anne and Ellie, and happy Mother's Day to all you mums out there. And we've got some really lovely emails coming in on Mother's Day today.
Oh, shall I read out this one from Joe?
Yes.
Today is a little sad for me. Having never had children through personal choice, I still considered myself a mum to my pets. In January this year, I had to bid farewell to my beautiful black Labrador, Tia. She was my best friend, my companion and my baby. We spent an amazing 16 years together. God bless you for highlighting those that will find today a little difficult.
Fred says, morning both. I will remember especially my late wife, who suffered 4 miscarriages, but we were blessed as well to have 3 sons and 1 daughter. We also have 5 grandsons, 3 of whom, unfortunately, she didn't live to see. But this is a very, very special day for us. Well, Fred, a very happy Mother's Day to your late wife.
Oh, yeah, and a quick one from Jay. Morning, Jay. Can you shout out my mum, Bav, who should be watching GB News this morning because I banned her from watching all other news channels because they're so poor quality and GB News is the best. He says it, I don't. Good way for me to check if she was watching later when I go over for dinner.
Yeah. And Jeffrey Morris said, I would like to shout out my mum. She is the best mum. Her name is Gwyneth Morris. Well, Gwyneth Morris, happy Mother's Day to you.
Oh, I've got to do this one from Michelle. I know we're going to get so many messages, and thank you, keep them coming.
Yes.
Michelle says, I've got up especially early for a Sunday to get some freshly baked goodies from my mum's favourite bakery in Horsham before heading over with my daughter and brother. She is an inspiration. She looks glam every day with a boundless energy that exceeds my own. She is the best nana. I love you, Mum.
Oh, that's so lovely.
Oh, thank you so much.
We knew we'd get some lovely shout-outs. I think it's going to be an emotional Sunday, but do keep sending them in. It's an absolute honour for us to read them out.
It is.
So happy Mother's Day to you all, and we really hope you enjoy celebrating. And for those of you that find today difficult, sending lots of love to you as well.
Yeah.
gbviews@gbnews.com. Do keep sending them in.
Now, it's Oscars night tonight. Biggest night in entertainment, so they say. Everything... Well, I do find it sometimes a bit... Anyway, it's commonly known as the Oscars. Who will get one? Do you care? I don't know. Stephanie Tetchy's here, though, to tell us the latest. I mean, I always think the trouble with the Oscars is that we in Britain haven't watched half the movies that they're talking about.
Well, that's the problem. Like, if you're in the industry, you get really excited about the movies because I've seen them at Cannes, Venice, but for the ordinary Joe... Sorry, darling. Sorry, darlings. But for the, average cinema goer, they haven't seen them. But the good thing about watching awards is then it makes you aware of what films you should know about or what films you can go back and watch. Yeah. But Oppenheimer, we've all heard of that Oppenheimer, right? And I think tonight's going to be a big night for Oppenheimer at the Oscars, up for a staggering 13 awards, including Best Picture, Best Actor for Cillian Murphy. He's done well at the BAFTAs. He's done well at the Golden Globes. So if he does win tonight, he will be the first Irish actor to win Best Actor.
But we're seeing pictures there of the Barbie lot.
Yeah, Ryan Gosling. He's going to be performing tonight. Ryan Gosling will be performing I'm Just a Ken from the Barbie movie, and he's going to be surrounded by 65 hunks. So I think that's going to be a moment for me to watch. But elsewhere with Barbie, the biggest thing about Oscars is they did get snubbed. Margot Robbie didn't get Best Actress. Greta Gerwig didn't get Best Director. But the film itself is up for 8 nominations, which is still pretty good.
It's up for nomination for Best Movie. And I gather she was sort of producer of it as well.
Yeah, she was.
So she'll do well if it just becomes...
Well, and I think that's why they've kind of taken it on their chin, because they're like... I don't think it's going to... Not at all. Oppenheimer's going to do it. Yeah. But I think they've taken it on their chin because they know it's still an achievement. It was great in the box office, so it's up for 8 nominations tonight, so it may do well. But I predict also Poor Things, which stars Emma Stone, which is a reimagining of the feminist Frankenstein. I think that could do well tonight.
Have you seen that, Stephanie?
Yes, I have.
How did you find it?
I think it's quite arty. I think she does a brilliant performance in it. That's why she's been winning a lot of awards this season. If she does win tonight, it will be her 2nd Oscar as Best Actress.
It's a feminine version of
Frankenstein, yeah. And it's the cinematography, and it's great. She's been doing really well all award season. But I think she might lose out tonight to Lily Gladstone, who stars in Martin Scorsese's Killers of the Flower Moon.
Another one I haven't seen.
Yeah.
But I did see Maestro, and that was a bit of a self-important bore as well.
That's up for 8 nominations. But, yeah, tonight I'm not expecting any, hopefully, controversy like Will Smith slapping someone because he's not invited. But they've had to beef up their security because of protesters.
Yes.
LA security and police have said that they've put a ring of steel around the red carpet from protesters from both sides, both Israel and Palestine. So I think we might see some stuff tomorrow morning.
Yes, and And we may get some speeches that actually mention something.
Yeah, well, it's going to be on ITV tonight. The show's going to be 3 hours and a half long from 10:15, if you guys can manage to stay up to watch it. But apparently they want it to be quite sharp and swift, so maybe we might see some short speeches tonight.
Yeah, but these self-important actors, they like to have their political say, don't they?
They have to thank their mums.
Yeah, well, they should thank their mums.
Thank God.
Oh, actually, no, it's probably not Mother's Day in the USA, is it?
No, it's in May, yeah.
Oh, it's May.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, well.
Well, it'll be on tonight.
Thanks, Stephanie.
No, well done.
Lots to look forward to. Should we take a look at the sport now? Aidan McGee is here with us. Morning.
Good morning to you both.
Good morning. What's up in sportsland?
The Six
Rugby,
Nations.
yeah.
The Six Nations came alive yesterday. It's been, I'm not going to say dull, because we've seen some good quality rugby over the last 5 or 6 weeks, but it's been quite processional.
Was good, yeah.
It was brilliant. It's been quite processional so far. All the teams you expect to win on each individual match have won, with the possible exception of Ireland going to France on opening night. That was a bit of a surprise, but Ireland are meant to be the best team in the world, so maybe not. However, yesterday, completely different. We saw England win with a last-gasp drop kick in the best tradition of England victories in the past, when you think about Argentina before Christmas, the drop-kicking extravaganza they gave in that game, and, of course, 2003, the World Cup. Lewis Moody yesterday, when we spoke to him, he was saying there was no chance England could win this match. And yet, psychology proved to be an issue for Ireland again, Anne, because they don't get past the quarter-final of the World Cup, despite being billed as the best team in the world. They struggle at Twickenham. They struggled again yesterday. 1 point in it, 23-22. Great moment for Marcus Smith as well. He's been out for the last 3 matches with a calf injury. He wasn't trusted under the previous coach, Eddie Jones. And so for him to do that, as I say, in the best traditions of some of England's greatest victories of all time, was truly magnificent. The captain, Jamie George, said this is his proudest moment of his career. It's not going to be enough for England to land the Six Nations, and I think Ireland are still going to do it with the bonus points they have. But nonetheless, it was just something that reversed what we'd seen in the last few weeks. As I say, it's been quite sort of predictable. And again, in Rome, I mean, this is even more sensational, this one. Italy are the wooden spoonists every single time. They'd lost 26 home matches in a row. They hadn't won a home match in 11 years. It's dreadful, yeah. I mean, they win the wooden spoon near enough every time. And then Scotland go and lose 31-29. Just pure complacency, Anne, because Scotland have recorded some notable victories, including over England a couple of weeks ago in this tournament. And so to go and lose that one yesterday really was embarrassing. And I mean, Scotland had a chance of winning this tournament until yesterday. And so we've got France up today against Wales as well. So it came alive yesterday. We saw some good stories. We saw some shock results, and that's what sport should be about. That's why we love it, because it's the unknown, isn't it? Unpredictability, absolutely.
You can never tell. There's always lots of little things bobbling on underneath. We will talk football next when we see you next.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. But at the moment, we don't want to run out of time, because we're going to be looking at the newspapers today, and it being Sunday, it's full of royal stories and lots of other things besides. So do join us again in a couple of moments to look through the papers.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Household energy bills will fall by £238 per year. Good news. An average of £20 a month. That's as Ofgem unveils its new energy price cap. So joining us in the studio is GB News economics and business editor Liam Halligan.
The Ofgem energy price cap, that's the regulated amount that energy suppliers are allowed to charge, will fall from £1,928 a year to £1,690. That's from April the 1st. That's a drop of about 12%. That should save the typical household 20 quid a month. Prices are cheaper than they were, but they're still very elevated by historic standards. Certainly if you're an American household, a French household, even a Spanish or an Italian household, you're paying a lot less for your electricity and your energy in general than you are here in the UK. The energy companies have been a bit tricksy with the government, because while they are lowering the energy price cap, and the headlines were, well, your energy bills are coming down, blah, 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 the energy providers have actually chiselled out from Ofgem the permission to charge households an extra £2.33 a month on average. And the energy companies say that is money which they need, the energy companies, in order to support households who have got big debts on their energy bills. I don't know about you, but whenever I talk to people down the pub about energy bills, many of them say, well, the energy company's got like £2,000 of my money and it won't give it back to me. What's going on here? So there are lots of concerns about customer balances with energy companies, and it's also worth saying that as part of this announcement, the bit that no one will notice is that the energy companies are being able to charge all households to try and flatter the energy companies' balance sheets, which to me, on first reading, seems a bit odd.
Welcome back. You are watching and listening to Breakfast with Ellie and Anne, and we're going to take a look at some of the newspaper front pages for you now.
Yeah, starting with the Mail on Sunday, and that's the big bombshell because it's leading with allegations made by Princess Diana's brother, Earl Spencer, that he was sexually abused by the school assistant matron. He was sexually abused from 11, and it's quite a revelation, very, very controversial.
Yeah, I would say if you're going to read one thing today, that would
be... Really, and the school's not denying it either.
No, not at all. The Observer leads with legal fears over Michael Gove's new definition of extremism.
The Sunday Express leads with the Labour Party being branded cowards over the boat migrant crisis.
The Sunday Telegraph leads with Michael Gove's warning for protesters not to march alongside extremists.
And the Sunday Times leads, this is astonishing too, with Boris Johnson flying out for secret talks with Venezuela's leader.
Well, joining us now to go through what's making the news this morning is personal finance and consumer affairs commentator Georgie Frost and broadcaster Pete Price. Really good to see you both this morning. And Georgie, should we start with the Sunday Telegraph? And it's Michael Gove's comments to pro-Palestine protesters.
Yeah, indeed. That don't march alongside extremists, Gove tells protesters. Yes, indeed. As you mentioned there, it was all about this new extremism definition. I think that obviously we saw many people march in London. We're seeing, anti-Semitism at record highs in London, and the government are trying to get on top of this, I would suggest. Look, I think there's a bit of politicking involved in this, but there's also related to, as I said, the government's new definition, whatever that might be, of extremism. I think what people would want to know is it's not so much about the definitions, it's about the enforcement. Exactly. Are we going to get enforcement of it rather than... And when I say politicking, I mean more, you are going to get more stories, and we're talking about them in the front pages today, about immigration, about extremism, things that the Tory party can set out, I believe, as their stall ahead of what's known as an election.
How can you enforce it? How can you enforce it with such crowds of people? How?
Well, it does appear, doesn't it, that police actually don't know how to enforce it. That's half the difficulty. They don't know how to police it.
I understand that.
And the people who are marching are playing... They're playing the police for fools in some cases, aren't they? Because some of them are shouting from the river to the sea and whatever. They're deliberately flagrant comments, holding up certain banners, covering their faces. But within seconds, they'll take their face coverings off, they'll stop the chanting before the police can actually intervene anyway.
The sad thing is, so many people are doing it for the right reasons and they're being manipulated.
Yes.
And when you see them on television, I saw them on GB News the other day, they don't realise they're being manipulated. I'm sorry, you are being manipulated.
I think it's incredibly difficult, specifically for the police to know, and I know this is rather an unpopular position here, like there are some chants and some things that are absolutely unacceptable. They are defined. But we need to protect the right to freedom of speech. And this is where this balance comes in, the right to protest. So I get very nervous when you have politicians talking about redefinition of extremism in almost a backlash of something that's been going on at the time. Look, consider this. Look at the laws that we have. Are they fit for purpose across all sort of walks of life and demographics and those sorts of things? Because we've had this issue with, does it mean that, say, gender-critical women are going to be encompassed in this? People who are religious, just religious Christians or Muslims are going to be encompassed in this new definition of extremists and therefore don't have the freedom to go out and make protest.
It's a total minefield, as you just said. It's a total minefield. And whatever you say, we're living in this world of woke now, so that also is added to it. So how can you... How many people were in London yesterday? How can you possibly police those people and hear every word they say, everything they're talking about? It's an absolute minefield.
And judge them on the spot, on the pavement. Judge them for the way they said something.
Frightening.
And look, if the police go in there heavy-handed, it's the police that are going to get in trouble as well. But they have absolutely every right, we should say, to protest, but the police have a really, really, I think, difficult balancing act. And it does need leadership and definition about what is acceptable and what is not, because they're clearly struggling at the moment.
And, of course, everybody's got their phones and they video everything, so you've got all that, and that's the videos you see. You never see the video, the negative against the police.
Well, that's what we saw happen yesterday, didn't we? It was a counter-protester who was arrested yesterday. He had well, he alleges that he had a placard up saying that Hamas are terrorists. He says he was arrested for holding that placard.
The police deny that, though, don't they?
Police say that wasn't the case. He was arrested for assault in a separate incident. He was then de-arrested after they'd reviewed the footage. But that just goes to show, doesn't it? The whole thing was filmed. It escalated online. There were
that was one case of all those thousands of people.
It is so
one
difficult.
Stupid case. And it was a stupid case compared to what's going on.
It's very difficult for the police to police these protests. I'm sure.
And I still think it is intimidating. Not the fact that you're Jewish. It's intimidating seeing crowds like that coming into London. It's nothing to do with
But we always know
Jewish.
that big protests always attract people that are there just for trouble. And that's the problem. And they make the headlines, and they certainly cause the trending X's or whatever, tweets or whatever you call them. Pete, let's go to the Sunday Express front page, where James Cleverly is lashing out at the Labour Party, calling them cowards and hypocrites. For what?
Well, they're saying this, they're criticising everything about the small boats situation and the immigrants coming in, the illegal immigrants coming in, but they won't do anything about it. That's what they're saying. They won't do anything about it. I'm going to be controversial now and say I think they should send some people to Rwanda and watch them and find out what life is like for them. And instead of all this money being wasted, you know, it's a warmer country. It could be a good place to send them, but just send a group, I don't know, 20 people and have them watched and see what life's like. Because it's all very well Keir Starmer and the Labour Party having a go at the Conservatives. Nobody has got the answer. I think all politicians should get together if they've got an answer, and all politicians should say, this is how we're going to get rid of these people.
That's such a good idea, isn't it?
I'm pretty sure that they've sent people out there already. It's going to be very difficult for them to simulate what it would be like. Look, this has gone through the court. My big issue is that this is the flagship. OK, this is costing billions. The illegal migration is costing billions as well. Let's not, you know, we're spending $8 million a day on hotel bills, I believe, which is destroying local communities. Make no bones about it. Something needs to get done. But it feels like this is the only thing for the Conservatives. And if this doesn't work, what is plan B, C, D, E, F? You know, we do need to boost border security, which is what Labour is saying. Now, they need to cost it, they need to write down exactly what they're going to do. But, you know, we do need to smash the criminal gangs. We need to make it so that people don't want to come over here. If the fear of travelling on the Channel crossing, where you could die, isn't enough to turn people off, going to Rwanda on a bill that's going to take years to pass through is really not going to be turning people off either. We absolutely need to have, you know, multilateral agreements with the EU particularly. We need to beef up security and, we need something meaningful about it.
What about your idea, Pete, though? Instead of Conservative and Labour, you know, ripping pieces out of each other over this, why don't they set up some sort of a cross-party?
There'd be a lot more respect for them. A lot more respect for them.
Because Labour, if they win the next election, are going to have to deal with this problem.
Absolutely. And as you say about coming across, that poor child that was killed in the river, who was drowned, and the parents have said, we are still going to come to England. If we're dealing with people like that, what can we possibly do to stop and deter people?
Get rid of the gangs. That's absolutely where.
But how do you get rid of the gangs? You can never get rid of the mafia over all those years. You could how do you get rid of the gangs? There's so much money being made. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Look, we've only got a minute left, and while there's lots in the papers to talk about, it is Mother's Day, and I just wondered if you wanted to say anything on the subject of Mother's Day.
I would love to say, and I put it on social media, my mum, I'm adopted. My mum was the most beautiful mum on God's earth, and the woman who had me gave me away, which was the best thing ever, and Hilda was my mum. But I've got to tell you, I always did a do on Sundays at a place called The Grapes in Liverpool, and a woman used to come with her mother for Mother's Day, bring the ashes, and it was whiskey for whiskey, and every Monday she'd come back because she was legless and had to come and pick the urn up.
Well, what a way to celebrate Mother's Day. Any thoughts?
Yeah, obviously I've got to mention my mother as well, but I don't have children. I lost a baby last year, and so this is for all those women and men, because it's devastating for partners as well, who sadly are not mothers, wanted to be and couldn't be. Thoughts are with you. That's all I'll say. But my mum is also
you're absolutely right.
Superstar.
And we've been trying to make that point. Mother's Day is sometimes quite a painful day for some people, for lots of different reasons.
Yeah,
exactly. And they should be. We should shout out to them as well.
And such an important message.
Because I was a mother. Yeah. I do believe I was a mother.
Yeah.
It didn't survive, but I was a mother.
And they always make the point, don't they?
I've got a dog.
There's no word for a mother who should be a mother and isn't.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no word.
Interesting too with Mother's Day, which really upset me when I used to say on my radio show that look after your mum. Some people say, but we don't have a relationship with our mums.
Yeah, I know.
It's a difficult day for many.
A brighter outlook with Box Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to your latest GB News weather from the Met Office. It's going to be a cloudy day today. There'll be outbreaks of light rain and drizzle, and it's still a chilly feel for the time of year too. And looking at the picture for this morning, a lot of cloud across the UK, outbreaks of rain across many areas, just a bit of sunshine towards the southwest, and that remains so for the afternoon too, but this could trigger 1 or 2 showers as we move through into the evening time. Elsewhere, generally it stays cloudy for much of the day. Outbreaks of light rain and drizzle, and the wind's still coming in off the North Sea, so a chilly feel for many of us. Into the evening time, this rain will continue to push its way westward. Still a lot of low cloud behind it, some drizzle in places too. So a damp evening to come, and that takes us into Monday as well. It remains cloudy through Sunday night. Further outbreaks of light rain and drizzle in places, some low cloud leading to some foggy conditions over the higher ground, and temperatures again falling to around mid-single figures due to the cloud cover not falling too low at all. But it does mean another cloudy grey start to Monday. Outbreaks of rain and drizzle feeding in off the North Sea, particularly down these eastern areas, remaining quite damp for much of the day. Best of any brighter spells will be towards western coast, but even here it will remain largely cloudy through the day. Some showery rain for Northern Ireland too, and temperatures just about getting into double figures. See you soon.
Looks like things are heating up. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
We're springing into spring and giving you the chance to win the seasonal essentials. First, there's an incredible £12,345 in tax-free cash to be won, plus a spring shopping spree with £500 in shopping vouchers to spend in the store of your choice. And finally, a garden gadget package to enjoy, including a handheld games console, a portable smart speaker and a pizza oven. For your chance to win the vouchers, the treats and £12,345 in tax-free cash, text GB-WIN to 84902. Text costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message, or post your name and number to GB03 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 5 p.m. on Friday the 29th of March. Full terms and privacy notice at gbnews.com/win. Please check the closing time if watching or listening on demand. Good luck.
Good afternoon, Britain.
Good afternoon, Britain. Join us, Tom and Emily,
To find out what's happening in the heart of Westminster.
and why it matters to you.
Weekdays from midday, we bring you the most compelling stories from across the United Kingdom.
And from your doorstep to our inbox,
That's right, we want to hear from you.
GB News.
Britain's news channel.
From 10 a.m. every Saturday, we want to make you think and we want to make you laugh.
So we will give you all the top stories.
Now we start with a story that has shocked the nation this week.
But we're also going to make it light and fun and bring some entertainment in to make your Saturday morning nice and restful.
Only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Your weekend starts here with Friday Night Live with me, Mark Dolan, 8 till 9 on GB News. Big stories, big guests and big laughs as we get you ready for a cracking weekend. That's Friday Night Live with Mark Dolan. Fridays 8 till 9 on GB News. Bring your own drinks. The admission's free.
Good morning. It's 7 o'clock on Sunday, the 10th of March. It is Mother's Day today. Huge crowds gather in London as pro-Palestinian protests take to the streets again. But discrepancies in policing is causing controversy.
Princess Diana's brother, Charles Spencer, claims that he was sexually abused from the age of 11 at his boarding school.
Hollywood's Night of Nights is tonight. It's the Oscars. All of the stars are going to gather to celebrate the best in film. We'll be looking ahead to the likely big winners.
And talking of big winners, the Crufts dog show has taken over Birmingham. 200 breeds are all competing for prizes.
And it is Mother's Day today. Happy Mother's Day, Anne.
Thank you.
Do get in touch and tell us how you are celebrating today, or if you've got a lovely message for your mum or your granny, send it in and it will be our honour to share it this morning.
Absolutely. We've had some lovely emails already, so thank you so much. And the sport, Aidan?
Good morning. Arsenal continued their formidable run of form by moving to the top of the Premier League with victory over Brentford at the Emirates. But this afternoon, it's the really big one. It's Liverpool against Manchester City from Anfield.
Hello there, good morning. It is a cloudy, damp start for many of us first thing. Will it improve at all? Will there be some sunshine? Find out all the weather details coming up soon.
Well, hello, it's lovely to be with you this Sunday morning, this Mother's Day morning. I'm Anne Diamond.
And I'm Ellie Costello, and this is Breakfast on GB News.
I was wondering earlier what you thought of Crufts, whether you really like it or not. You do, don't you? You
I really like
it.
Crufts, but I love dogs and watching them.
It makes me feel uncomfortable, some of the classes where you see these ridiculous preening and pampering of dogs that are not look like dogs at all. They just look like, I don't know, Barbie dolls or something. It just makes me worry about some of the breeds, that's all.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got a little Bichon Frise, and I like her not looking like... I mean, they do Bichon Frises ridiculously.
They look like Tudors, don't they, with a big ring of fur around their neck.
And the funny round head and things like that. This is my little doggy. That is Ellie. Yes, she's Ellie. She's even Ellie on the telly, which is, you know, I'm sorry, but I had her before I even knew you. That is Ellie.
I just love the fact we've known each other for a long time now, and this is the first time I found out that I'm named after your dog.
Yeah, well,
we share the same name.
But you do share the same name, and as I say, she even because the first time I showed her off, she's a rescue. She's a posh rescue because she is a Bichon Frise, but even they need rescuing sometimes. And so when I first had her, I was on Loose Women, and I took her on to Loose Women to show her off. And so my family call her Ellie on the telly. So
and that's what my family call me. Oh, well, I'm very honoured.
I have to say, you're both very, very beautiful.
Oh, thanks,
and highly intelligent.
Oh, well, thank you,
yeah, because Ellie is very...
well, I'm very honoured to share Ellie's name. And can we have her up again, because she is just so beautiful. What an absolute sweetheart.
She is cute.
And I love the fact we share the same name.
Yes.
Okay, you've got two Ellies in your life now, two Ellies on the telly in your life now.
Do you know what she was called before I got her?
No, what was she called?
Princess.
Stop.
And I thought, I'm going to have to change her name.
We're going to have to change that.
Because I can't go out taking her for a walk and calling Princess across the common, can I? But there she is, Princess Ellie on the telly.
Princess Ellie, now I like the sound of that. Maybe we can both share that name as well.
Oh, yeah. She'll put up a fight for it.
Oh, do you know, she could win Crufts. She is just beautiful.
Just by sitting there looking cute and always hungry.
Has she got a lovely temper? A bit like us.
Yeah, yes.
Our tummies today are rumbling so much.
We're doing a duet, yes.
Yeah, we're like an orchestra in here. We need to get some...
feeding, don't we?
We need a little snack or something, don't we, Anne?
And that's the trouble with Ellie, my Ellie, is that when I get up and I leave the house at 3:15 in the morning, she thinks it's time to eat.
Oh, does she?
So she expects a meal before I go out.
Oh, does she?
We've got a lot in common. When I get back, too.
Yeah, we've got a lot in common, myself and Ellie.
There you are. You didn't know, did you?
No, but I've enjoyed that this morning.
I love that message we had earlier as well from one of our lovely viewers who said that she's not a mother and she doesn't celebrate Mother's Day from that point of view, but she's always felt that she's a mother to her pets. And she lost Tia, I think, who was a Labrador, not so long ago, and so she feels a sense of sadness today because that was her baby.
Yeah, because to be a dog mummy is also a massive responsibility.
Hugely
and
important.
they are like babies, aren't they?
Yeah, well, yes, they are family.
Is Ellie your little baby?
She is, yes.
How old is she?
Well, that's a difficult one.
Oh, yes, so she's...
we reckon she was about 2 or 3 when I got her, and I realised to my absolute shock that I've had her for about 6 years.
Really?
So she, even though she looks very young and sprightly, although she occasionally has trouble with the stairs, yeah, she must be about 8 or...
Oh, well, she is beautiful.
Yeah.
And I love the fact we share the same name.
I know.
Which means you like the name Ellie.
Well, yes, because I chose it.
Because you chose it. Which makes me happy.
That's all right.
Oh, very nice. Well, do keep those messages
we're all
coming
cuddly
in.
and warm
We are
this
cuddly
morning,
and warm,
aren't we?
It's a Sunday and it's Mother's Day, so it's the right way to be, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do keep those views coming in about your mother or your granny, and we would love to share as many as we can throughout the programme. Pictures also good, if you'd like to.
Pictures, lovely.
We love pictures, don't we?
OK, let's get on with the real news. And our top story this morning, tens of thousands of pro-Palestinian demonstrators have filled the streets of the capital and other cities again.
Well, that's despite the Metropolitan Police revealing there were no significant public order disturbances. But it is the actions of the Metropolitan Police which are coming under scrutiny today.
Yes, and this is interesting because there's a counter-protester who displayed a Hamas is terrorism placard, and he was arrested after protesters turned on him, and it all led to a very large brawl.
But the police say differently. They say he was arrested for assault before being de-arrested after officers reviewed the footage.
However, after his arrest, he spoke, and this is what he had to say.
He told me, is it a danger for your life and for the people when they see maybe attacked you?
And what did your sign say exactly?
Hamas is terrorist. This is it?
Nope. That was the sign. Police, and that's what your sign said.
I told the police they attacked me and I want to complain. He said go to police station near your home.
Well, in a statement which was released after his arrest and de-arrest, the Met clarified that the initial arrest was not made in relation to his placard.
Well, let's get the thoughts of former Labour advisor Kevin Marr. Very good to see you this morning, Kevin. And what did you make of the scenes that we saw yesterday?
It's very difficult. We're going to obviously continue to see protests about what's going on in Gaza because it's obviously the top international issue for many people. We've got lots of international issues at the moment, but Gaza strikes home because of the scenes of civilian suffering, which strikes a chord with so many people around the world. And what we're obviously seeing in London and other British cities, we're seeing replicated across Europe and across many other democratic countries as well. It's very, very difficult for the police, I think, to deal with these situations because you're trying to uphold the law, you're trying to uphold freedom of speech, even sometimes when that speech is not necessarily always popular, and you're trying to hold the ring between people's freedom of speech, which is at diametric opposites, which is exactly what we've seen here with this particular incident. It's very, very difficult for the police, I think, to try and hold the ring on all of this, and it's a very hard job that the Met has got to do. I think there were 6 arrests in total yesterday out of tens of thousands of people on the street, which strikes me as a fairly kind of modest kind of problem that they've been dealing with. But it's these particular incidents where people are mounting often single-person counter-protests. It's very, very difficult because emotions do run very, very high. Now this gentleman was arrested. I think that's probably slightly excessive to begin with, but then he was de-arrested. We've got this term de-arrested this morning, which is, I have to say, a new one on me. But it's very difficult for the police because, you know, ultimately you're trying to uphold people's entirely legitimate freedom of speech on both sides of what is, you know, a very tense zero-sum equation between if you're on the side of kind of Palestinians and if you're on the side of the Israeli state, and both have got powerful arguments, both have got legitimate arguments, but of course when these play out on the streets of London, it's left to the poor old Met to try and make sense of it all.
Absolutely, it's really difficult. As you were saying, de-arrested. De-arrested is a word that was quite new to me too, and also everything gets filmed. Everything gets filmed. Kevin, we'll leave it there because I know it's going to happen again and again, and we'll talk about it in the future. But thank you very much for joining us so early in the morning on a Sunday. Thank you.
Now, to royal news now. And Earl Spencer, the brother of Princess Diana, has revealed that he was sexually abused as a child at boarding school.
In an extract of his soon-to-be-released memoir, it's been serialised in the Mail on Sunday today, Earl Spencer reveals that he was targeted by a female member of staff at Maidwell Hall in Northamptonshire in the 70s.
Well, now, of course, he is 59 years old, and Earl Spencer alleges that the abuse began when he was just 11. In a statement, the school has said it is difficult to read about practices which were, sadly, sometimes believed to be normal and acceptable at the time. Almost every facet of school life has evolved significantly since the 1970s. At the heart of the changes is the safeguarding of children and promotion of their welfare.
It's a very interesting statement, isn't it?
It is.
Because it doesn't deny, it doesn't immediately leap to their own defence and say this could never have happened and all the rest of it. It more or less acknowledges, and certainly the point needs to be made, that apparently Earl Spencer has done his own investigations and has come across many of his contemporaries from the time who tell the same story. Shocking, isn't it?
Oh, deplorable.
Let's join the former royal correspondent at The Sun, Charles Ray. Charles, a very good morning to you. It's a very difficult read, isn't it? And it explains a lot about a man who admits himself in this memoir has been scarred for life from the age of 11.
Yeah, well, good morning, ladies. It is a completely shocking read this morning. I was quite shocked myself when I read it. I was even more shocked in the Maidwell Hall, which is the school statement that Ellie has just read out. And they seem to be saying that not just Earl Spencer, but actually former pupils were making these sort of allegations against various matrons and masters at the time. I also find it very strange that they think that these practices which were sometimes believed to be normal and acceptable. Well, they're not normal and acceptable in my life at any stage. You know, even in the 70s or even when I was at school, we never got treated like that. And I went to a school in Glasgow where they used the TAWs to discipline. But this is really dreadful. I mean, he names two teachers, one the headmaster, John Porch, and one the Latin master, who's a former High Sheriff of Kent, Henry Maud, both of whom have since died. He does not name the assistant matron, though, who came into his dormitory at night, and not just him, but other boys, and sexually abused them. Now, he doesn't know what's happened to this matron. He believes she's in her late 60s and could still be alive somewhere, married. I would have thought that he should be giving the name of that lady over to the police, and they should be making investigations and maybe prosecutions on a historic basis. So it really is dreadful. And you're absolutely right, Anne. This explains an awful lot about the Spencer family itself. It was a complicated family, given we know what happened with the Princess of Wales and her bulimia and everything else. He seems to have suffered it the same way. One thing that does stand out for me, though, I find very strange. After this, he's age 12. He goes to Italy with his mother and stepfather and has sex with a prostitute. Where were his mother and father when this was going on? I understand that, you know, he was mentally scarred and everything else, but that doesn't sound right to me in any shape.
No, but you can say that. Where was his mother throughout his childhood? Because those Spencer children had a tough childhood, and I know that sounds extraordinary because they were very, very wealthy and aristocratic and everything, but their mother left them. Their father, by all accounts, was not exactly the kindest man in the world, and he makes the point in this memoir that he had no sense of intimacy from an older mother figure all through his childhood, and then to go to be sent to a school where he was actually abused by a woman is just it starts to. I don't know if you've read the bit where he said in the end, much later in life, he went to a therapist and talked through the whole thing, and he said, what am I suffering from? Why am I suffering in this way? And the therapist said, frankly, my diagnosis is this: you had a thoroughly messed up childhood. And he didn't use the word messed, he used a much stronger word. And you can't help but have real sympathy.
But he also says that at the age of 9, when he was sent to this school, he thought he was being sent there because he hadn't lived up to being a good son for his family. So he's got that. But the Spencer family has always been a very awkward family in the sense that, you're right, mother left at an early age, dad who wasn't, the greatest father in the world, and you then bring in Rain Spencer, who was his stepmother, and that relationship with her and the 4 children wasn't great at times, was not great at all.
Look, in happier news, shall we reflect on Prince Edward's birthday? He's turning 60, isn't he? And there have been some beautiful words exchanged between himself and Sophie this week.
Yeah, I mean, we have to remember, though, of all the royal children, he's the only one whose marriage appears to have worked. I mean, they seem to be a very happy couple. They get on very, very well. And there's a fantastic picture that's released this morning of him sitting, on a wall with these three dogs. I think it's one's a Labrador called Teal, a Cocker Spaniel with Mole, and a puppy, Teasel, which you can just see in the background. It doesn't quite grasp the idea of sitting nearby. But there is another picture of Edward with Teal in his hands and everything else. Great picture. And to mark the occasion, the king, his brother, has made him a member of the Order of the Thistle, which is the highest order in Scotland. Bearing in mind, he's now the Duke of Edinburgh and is filling that role very well. And of course, he and Sophie have become quite key members of the royal family now, in the light of the various illnesses that have happened with the King's cancer and Catherine's surgery. So they're very heavily involved in getting on with life. And they've always been like that. It's not been always like that. They've both been controversial characters many years ago, but they have turned the corner and they're doing very, very well now.
Yeah, they really are. And they've got, well, especially Sophie, I suppose, but it's obviously rubbed off on Edward and the children. But they've got a bit of a common touch, haven't they? I mean, after the Duke of Edinburgh died, the former Duke of Edinburgh died, Prince Philip, she bothered to come out and talk to people outside Windsor Castle. And she didn't just use those clipped royal phrases. She actually spoke to people and told them what those last moments were like. And she was lovely to hear.
But she's always been, a down-to-earth lady. She's she wasn't always a member of the royal family. She's actually worked by herself, ran her own company, not successfully all the time, but not too bad. And so she knows very well what it's like to be, a member of the Hoylock, if you like. And it's very nice to see them, being key members of the royal family rather than just extras.
No, do you know what? That's a really, really good point, actually, Charles. I was just thinking the same thing myself. Thank you very much. Really good to see you this morning.
Pleasure.
What Charles just saying there is actually so important, isn't it? Because Sophie is not royal. She's married in.
Neither is Catherine, and neither is Camilla.
Neither is Catherine.
The 3 women absolutely keeping the royal family going at the moment.
Absolutely, and they're class.
Commoners, if you like. Sorry to use that word, but that's what they would have used. They must have a little club. They get together.
And they just get it, don't they? They get what's needed of them, and they get on with it.
Yeah.
And Yeah, hats off to them. And happy Mother's Day to all of them.
Yes, absolutely.
Indeed. And it's so lovely, isn't it, to see the affection between Sophie and Edward.
And their children as well.
Lovely.
When they brought the children out as well, their children knew how to behave with ordinary members of the public.
Lady Louise
and...
We'll have to find out the other one's name. But anyway, they're lovely family.
Is he a Viscount something?
I think he is.
Yeah.
Very good.
It's funny that we don't know the name, isn't it?
But lovely to see the affection between them. It's very human, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
Now, 18 minutes past 7, let's take a look at some other stories coming into the newsroom.
Well, the Ministry of Defence has confirmed reports of a fire on board its flagship aircraft carrier, the HMS Queen Elizabeth. The Royal Navy vessel is currently docked at Glenmallan in Scotland, and the MOD has said that the fire was quickly brought under control and no reported injuries.
United States military ship is headed towards the Middle East, carrying aid equipment to build a temporary pier off the coast of Gaza. President Biden has confirmed the US would build a floating pier to get aid to Gaza by sea after aid deliveries by land and air have proved difficult and sometimes dangerous.
And Humberside police have removed a number of bodies from the premises of a funeral director's in Hull after reports of concern for care of the deceased. Cordons are in place at 3 branches of Legacy Independent Funeral Directors in East Yorkshire, and they're investigating whether any criminal offences might have been committed. That last story, very, very concerning.
Very, very concerning. And if we get any more information on that, of course, we'll bring that to you this morning on Breakfast. Should we take a look at the weather?
Yes, 7:20. Over to Greg Dewhurst.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to your latest GB News weather from the Met Office. It's going to be a cloudy day today. There'll be outbreaks of light rain and drizzle, and it's still a chilly feel for the time of year too. And looking at the picture for this morning, a lot of cloud across the UK, outbreaks of rain across many areas, just a bit of sunshine towards the southwest, and that remains so for the afternoon too, but this could trigger 1 or 2 showers as we move through into the evening time. Elsewhere, generally it stays cloudy for much of the day. Outbreaks of light rain and drizzle, and the wind's still coming in off the North Sea, so a chilly feel for many of us. Into the evening time, this rain will continue to push its way westward. Still a lot of low cloud behind it, some drizzle in places too. So a damp evening to come, and that takes us into Monday as well. It remains cloudy through Sunday night. Further outbreaks of light rain and drizzle in places, some low cloud leading to some foggy conditions over the higher ground, and temperatures again falling to around mid-single figures due to the cloud cover not falling too low at all. But it does mean another cloudy grey start to Monday. Outbreaks of rain and drizzle feeding in off the North Sea, particularly down these eastern areas, remaining quite damp for much of the day. Best of any brighter spells will be towards western coast, but even here it will remain largely cloudy through the day. Some showery rain for Northern Ireland too, and temperatures just about getting into double figures. See you soon.
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you. And now here's your chance to enter our latest Great British Giveaway. And you could win £12,345 in cash and a whole host of seasonal treats.
We have a ton of top prizes to be won in our spring giveaway. There's a massive £12,345 in tax-free cash to spend however you like, along with £500 in shopping vouchers for your favourite store, a games console, a pizza oven and a portable Sonos smart speaker. And the best news? You could be our next big winner, just like Phil.
Whoever wins it next is going to be as happy as I was, and they're going to get even more money this time round, so why wouldn't you go in the draw?
For your chance to win the vouchers, the treats and £12,345 in tax-free cash, text GBWIN to 84902. Text costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message, or post your name and number to GB03 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 5 p.m. on Friday the 29th of March. Full terms and privacy notice at gbnews.com/win. Please check the closing time if watching or listening on demand. Good luck.
Very old, Prince. I'm shocked.
Talk about Prince Edward.
He's 60. Because he's always been the youngest of the 4 children, and I've always thought of him.
I think he's very young.
Sounds old.
Do you think? I had the opposite reaction. I thought, yeah, that's very young.
He looks good on it, though, doesn't he?
Yeah, they do. They both do. They look great.
Do we know what his son's name?
Oh no, let's work that out.
Yeah.
Oh, well, hang on.
Okay.
All right, we need to find this for you after the break.
Hold on while we Google something.
Yes.
This is live news.
James, Earl of Wessex.
Earl of Wessex, that's it, James.
I'd know his face. We'd know his face, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
Oh, James Alexander Philip Theo Mountbatten Windsor, Earl of Wessex. Full title.
Wow. Now you know. You learn something watching GB News. Right, do stick with us. Still to come, as the Crufts dog show gets underway in Birmingham, we have a special surprise guest to join us in the studio. So hang on in there.
Don't want to miss that.
I think the most exciting bit for me is talking to people.
People who I think are ignored often by the major news channels. We're going to give news they want to hear. There's a voice there that needs to be heard. I think there's a chance here for a diversity of opinion to be expressed, which you don't find elsewhere. It's really exciting.
We don't hold back. We're free to say how decisions that are taken here
affect us all around the country. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Christopher Hope.
And I'm Gloria Di Piero, bringing you
PMQ's Live here on GB News. Every Wednesday, we'll bring you live coverage of Prime Minister's questions when Rishi Sunak and Sir Keir Starmer go head-to-head in the House of Commons.
We'll be asking our viewers and listeners to submit the questions that they would like to put to the Prime Minister, and we'll put that to our panel of top politicians in our Westminster studio.
That's PMQ's Live here on GB News, Britain's election channel.
Tired of the usual focus-tested, pre-prepared Westminster runaround? Well, so am I.
So you want higher taxes?
Is your department to blame for this? Are you rethinking this policy? Every Sunday at 9:30, I'll be sitting down with those in power to get the truth about the issues affecting you. Let's be honest, we've known about the cost pressures of this project for years, not months. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show with personality. On GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, and I'm not here to tell you what to think. I'd much rather hear what you have to say. So, send in your opinions to gbviews@gbnews.com. Keep them clean, and you never know, I might read them out. With my panel here on Jubes & Co, we debate, we get stuck into the issues of the day on a show where all views are welcome, especially yours. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Every Sunday from 11, join Michael Portillo.
There will be topical discussion, looking at the week before and the week to come. So kick back and relax at 11 a.m. on Sundays on GB News with me, Michael Portillo. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Andrew Doyle. Join me at 7 o'clock every Sunday night for Free Speech Nation, the show where I tackle the week's biggest stories in politics and current affairs with the help of my two comedian panellists and a variety of special guests.
Free Speech Nation, Sunday nights from 7 on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join us every night on GB News at 11 p.m. for Headliners, which is 3 top comedians going through the next day's news stories, which is exactly what you need, because when the establishment has gone crazy, you need some craziness to make sense of it. So join us 11 p.m. every night on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. You're watching and listening to Breakfast with Anne and Ellie, and Ellie's now put on her dog voice.
Yes, it's
which
very
is
irritating.
One of those voices.
Hello, darling.
We're going to be talking to this particular... Oh, look. The most gorgeous young man ever.
Darling.
Yeah, you see what I mean by Ellie's voice?
I know, darling, I know.
OK, well, look, while they get to know each other, let me just tell you that Crufts is starting today. And it's based in Birmingham nowadays, and it's already attracting thousands and thousands of people and their beloved dogs to the city.
Yes, more than 200 breeds are competing to be the best on the show and claim the top prize. Well, our West Midlands reporter Jack Carson has been along to find out exactly what makes a winner.
Every dog has its day, and for the pooches entering Crufts, they'll be hoping this is their year. There's been over 24,000 dogs in attendance, and from the 222 different breeds all gunning for best in show, only one can be the winner. as Bill Lambert from the Kennel Club explains.
It's a best of breed of all those dogs that have gone through a number of competitions to reach the final 7. So on Sunday night on Channel 4, you'll see the 7 best dogs at Crufts competing for Best in Show. They're looking at the best dog of its breed, comparing it with all the other dogs of its breed, and it's that dog that has that extra little bit of star quality, the dog that really performs on the day. So it's just that little bit extra that the dog has over the other competitors.
Best in Show has been awarded for 85 years, and the Cocker Spaniel has won the title 7 times, more than any other breed. But from the best of British to something a little more continental. Last year it was the Lagotto Romagnolo which won the Star Prize, a success which brought with it a huge uptake in demand. Sharon Martin is from the Lagotto Romagnolo Club.
They only came into the UK in the mid-1990s, so there's very few breeders. Generally, you will have to go on a waiting list for probably a year or so, but when you get a surge in demand like that, you then worry about people going abroad and importing dogs that haven't been health tested, like we do in the UK.
We are a nation of dog lovers, with around 12 million pups in 30% of households in the UK. But what makes people come back to Crufts year after year?
Dogs. There's just so many dogs. What's not to like? It is huge, yeah. So it's such an honour to be here, honestly. Like, obviously, there's so many different breeds, so many different people here, and to watch everybody with their dogs. Everybody loves their dogs.
It's the biggest dog show in the world. It's the hype. I just love it here. I love being in this atmosphere. It's really nice to be here.
From agility to routines, and of course, Best in Show, Crufts has got the wag of approval once again. Jack Carson, GB News, Birmingham.
Well, if you're a dog lover, you're going to have a wonderful time watching Crufts. And Ellie has fallen in love, as you can see.
This is Taro, the most beautiful dog in the world. A red Labrador.
Correct. Red Labrador.
Yeah. Joining us now is dog trainer and owner of Master Dog London, Robin James, a lovely Taro who wants to get involved as well. What do you make of Crufts, Robin? Because Anne was saying this morning, weren't you, that you're not a particularly big fan of it?
Well, I like dogs that look like dogs.
Yeah.
I don't like dogs, and Crufts does do this, that are just poshed and preened as though they were sort of Barbie dolls. I don't like that.
Yeah.
That's all right, Tony.
I think what Crufts shows is the standard for dogs. So there's always got to be a standard that, we follow, otherwise they'd look very, very different. And when the people who show their dogs, they're a very particular type of breeder who wants to breed the best standard and then go on to win Crufts, Best in Show, ideally. So they want their dogs to be very preened, but, in the real world, they're not really like that. It's just pre-Crufts and during Crufts.
It's just the Crufts look, I suppose.
Yeah, it's just the Crufts. Yeah. They want them to look their best. In fact, better than best.
How much the dogs enjoy elements of Crufts? Like agility, you sometimes see the dogs and they're released off their leads and they are
they're loving
so excited and they bound into it. It looks as though some of them really enjoy it.
Yeah, I think agility. Dogs do.
I'm going to be covered in dog hair.
They do enjoy it. You can see as they run through the race that their tails are wagging. Particular dogs love a job, and utility dogs are certainly that's a job for them to move around. So
does that depend on the breed, I suppose? Because some dogs are a little bit lazier than others.
I don't think the lazier dogs would be used so much
as far as
agility or Crufts would be concerned. But, listen, there's certain dogs, like this dog here, would not be
very
amazing.
Very talkative dog.
He wouldn't be very good at agility, I don't think. But there'd be people who would disagree with me who would train up their Labradors to be amazing at agility. But Labradors in general are quite a relaxed breed.
Oh, I think who wants to go back to you, Robin?
Because what you do with your company and all your expertise is you train dogs for people, don't you?
Correct. I usually find dogs for people, so they ask me to go out and find a certain breed.
So Ellie wants to know whether or not Taro is already spoken for.
Unfortunately, Taro is already spoken for by a lovely gentleman called Tito.
Taro, you've broken my heart. I love you.
He is a heartbreaker.
He
definitely is a heartbreaker. And the colour's amazing.
You were saying about the colour, where you think that might come from?
I think it has maybe come from like a red setter mixed in with the Labrador, because the breed has been around, I think, Labradors from the late 1700s, early 1800s.
Oh, and how does the interbreeding make you feel? Because, I mean, we were talking about that this morning, weren't you? Especially those dogs you can see with the really squashed up noses, and then they have difficulties with breathing.
Legs that they can barely walk.
It is so cruel, isn't it?
I think interbreeding, I think actually, look, what I really think is DNA testing. So if every breeder DNA tested their dogs before breeding them, within a couple of decades, we'd have none of this disease within dogs.
Right.
So DNA testing, we can test over 200 markers, and that's the future really for the health of dogs, and not interbreeding.
Well, I do know that, I mean, various spokesmen for Crufts over the years have said that's what they're trying to look at more than just the image of the perfect-looking coiffed dog.
Sure.
They want to go for healthy dogs.
Absolutely. Healthy dogs, ethical breeders, and dogs that have long life. And we were just talking before about, you know, there's a company in America now that actually uses drugs to almost double the life of dog's life. Yeah, which is amazing. So they're using stem cell technology, and they're actually doubling the age of a dog, because I think the record is 27 years.
That's a long
but dogs used to live for like 15, 16 years. That was the norm, and now it's sort of like 10, 12, and with some dogs, 6 to 8.
Yeah. And why would that be? Just because they've got problems?
Interbred with disease and problems, which then are recurring, and unless we do the DNA testing, is going to carry on. So DNA testing is the future for healthy dogs that live longer.
And talking of Taro there, you've had him, what, 3 or 4 days?
Yes.
How long will you keep him until you consider him properly trained?
He will stay with me for 10 days. You want to go back to Mummy?
Come back to me,
He will stay with me for 10 days on puppy boot camp. Most dogs stay 10 to 14 days.
Yeah.
And in that time, I will toilet train him, I will obedience train him, but I will make him soft, kind and gentle, so bringing out his really good attributes, building up his confidence, his trust, to make him independent.
How many puppies have you boot camped up until now? Do you keep
Hundreds
count?
and hundreds, if not into the thousands now, I think.
Oh.
So I've certainly, you know, high hundreds. I've been doing it for 10 years now. So, you know, it really has sort of like...
Well, I was going to ask how difficult it must be to give them back to their owners, but I don't think you're going to have the chance with this one. He's staying.
Yeah, he's staying with me, Robin.
He's a keeper, right?
He's a keeper.
Oh, he's the
Thank you so much for bringing him in. You've certainly made Ellie's day.
Yeah, thanks, Robin.
Fantastic.
And Tara, you'll stay with us, yeah? You're going to stay with us?
Bye, Taro. See you
bye,
later.
Tara. Say bye to everybody. Thanks, Robin.
OK, I think it's time for us to take a break. We'll be back with you in just a couple of moments.
Oh.
GB News is the home of free speech. We were created to champion it, and we deliver it day in, day out.
Free speech allows us all to explore and debate openly the issues most important to us, our families, and of course, the British people.
Having challenging conversations to enlighten each other.
Which is why we hear all sides of the argument.
We are the People's Channel.
We will always stand by the freedom to express yourself.
On TV, radio, and online.
This is GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Tired of the usual focus-tested, pre-prepared Westminster runaround? Well, so am I.
So you want higher taxes?
Is your department to blame for this? Are you rethinking this policy? Every Sunday at 9:30, I'll be sitting down with those in power to get the truth about the issues affecting you. Let's be honest, we've known about the cost pressures of this project for years, not months. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show with personality. On GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, and I'm not here to tell you what to think. I'd much rather hear what you have to say. So, send in your opinions to gbviews@gbnews.com. Keep them clean, and you never know, I might read them out. With my panel here on Jubes & Co, we debate, we get stuck into the issues of the day on a show where all views are welcome, especially yours. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
2024, a battleground year.
The year the nation decides.
As the parties gear up their campaigns for the next general election.
Who will be left standing when the British people make one of the biggest decisions of their lives?
Who will rise?
And who will fall? Let's find out together.
For every moment, the highs, the lows, the twists and turns.
We'll be with you for every step of this journey.
In 2024, GB News is Britain's election channel.
I'm Christopher Hope.
And I'm Gloria Di Piero, bringing you
PMQ's Live here on GB News. Every Wednesday, we'll bring you live coverage of Prime Minister's questions when Rishi Sunak and Sir Keir Starmer go head-to-head in the House of Commons.
We'll be asking our viewers and listeners to submit the questions that they would like to put to the Prime Minister, and we'll put that to our panel of top politicians in our Westminster studio.
That's PMQ's Live here on GB News, Britain's election channel.
Big news, big debates, big opinion. Patrick Christie's Tonight is the week's biggest show. Every weekday, 9 to 11 p.m, we've got the inside track on the day's top stories. There'll be sharp takes you won't get anywhere else. We will set the news agenda, not just follow it, and I want to bring you along for the ride. Whatever it is, we'll have our finger on the pulse. It's news, but it's this close to entertainment. Patrick Christie's Tonight, 9 to 11 p.m, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Brand new Sundays from 6 p.m. The Neil Oliver Show.
It's absolutely vital that people are given the opportunity to take part in the debate, to say the things that matter to them, to be challenged. A country is only really a shared dream. As long as enough people have a shared idea of what it is, then that country exists. What GB News does is give voices somewhere they can be heard.
The Neil Oliver Show. Sundays from 6 p.m. on GB News.
Hello again, welcome back and happy Mother's Day. Yes. And we do appreciate that for some people it's a wonderful day, you're looking forward to seeing your children, or they're really looking forward to seeing you. On other days, for other people it can be very, very poignant and sad. If you wanted to be a mother and maybe never could be, or if you've lost a mother. Steve says, our mum, Anna Blackwell, was buried on Friday, March the 1st. So it's very raw for you, isn't it? Today the family will meet at her grave to toast Mother's Day with her favourite tipple, Bailey's. Oh. Happy Mother's Day, Mumsy.
Oh, that is so lovely. And Steve, thinking of you and the family today. Gavin says, please wish my mum Rita a happy Mother's Day. She passed away 7 years ago. She was a wonderful mum to me and a wonderful aunt to my cousin Bev. Keep up the good work, ladies, says Gavin.
Thank you. And Joanne says it's a particularly poignant day for me. As an adoptee, I've lost 2 mothers. Oh. I'm sure I'm not alone in finding the day quite challenging.
Yeah, I'm sure many people do find today very difficult. And Linda says, happy Mother's Day to everyone in the UK today. To all you mums, I hope you're spoiled rotten. And a big shout out to those who have lost a child, which is a hard position to be in. You will get stronger. A big hug to you all. That's a really lovely message, isn't it?
Get in touch. Tell us how you're feeling today and give us a chance to help you give a shout-out to a mother maybe that you've loved or you're still loving and you're going to make a big fuss of today.
Yes.
We will give a shout-out to them if you get in touch in the usual way, gbviews@gbnews.com.
Right, let's go through the sports, shall we now, with Aidan, who is here with us.
Good morning to you again.
Good morning.
All eyes today on Manchester City against Liverpool. They travelled to Anfield.
It's a big match, this one.
Absolutely. I'll tell you something, this is interesting. You'll like this. £60 for a ticket, that's what it normally costs at face value for the lower tier. And the stand behind the dugout, so it's the viewpoint you'd get to see both managers. It's probably going to be the last time. Could be the last time they face each other, 2 titans of the Premier League era. I still think Jurgen Klopp's got another job in him, but it could be the last time they face each other today. How much do you think on the black market tickets are going for, given they cost 60 quid? Can I have a guess from both of you, please?
2,000.
Oh, I was going to say 200.
No, well, I'm bidding high.
Well, the paper's one of the tabloids this morning reckons it's £6,500 they're going for.
My goodness.
Well, you would, wouldn't you? If you were a really big deal fan. Would you? You would pay that if you're a really big deal fan. This is a big match.
It's the biggest game in world football at the moment, I would say. I would argue, bigger than the Clásico in Spain. If they draw, Arsenal stay top of the league. They went top yesterday by winning 2-1 against Brentford. Now, this was interesting because the England goalkeeper, Aaron Ramsdale, stepped in for one game. He was discarded at the start of the season. He made a horrific mistake yesterday.
Yeah.
Kind of justifying
what on earth was he doing?
I know. Did you see it?
It's written here, suggested questions.
I know, yeah.
What on earth? What are you doing?
I was impressed then. I really thought you must have watched.
Oh,
yeah, I
maybe
thought so as
shouldn't have
well.
given away my secret.
What did happen?
Well, he got closed down. It was a simple clearance, and Visser got in touch with him. Sorry, got in touch with him. He did kind of get in touch with him. He got in front of him, and diverted the ball into the net. It ricocheted off him, and he was. But the Arsenal dressing room rallied round him at half time and said, "Look, let's win this game for the goalkeeper," and it kind of justified Arteta's decision last summer to discard him, because if you get one opportunity to come in for a league game and you fluff your lines in that spectacular way, then you kind of think, well, maybe the manager got it right. He doesn't get too many decisions wrong either.
What time is it on?
It's on a peculiar kickoff time, 3:45. Normally it'd be 4:30. I don't really know if there's a reason for that. It could be Mother's Day related. I'm not sure. But so Tottenham play Aston Villa today as well. Big game in the race for the top four. Man United won yesterday. Crystal Palace and Luton drew. So we saw some good action yesterday. But as I say, today's match, huge. The global audience for that is probably not that far off what you get for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, well, yes.
OK.
Very quickly, we talk about the Essex boy, please, in the Grand Prix.
18-year-old Oliver Behrman. What an extraordinary story. He was 11th in qualifying on the Thursday, I think it was, and the Saudi Grand Prix happened yesterday. Carlos Sainz from Ferrari was unable to compete because of appendicitis, and the 18-year-old Oliver Behrman from Chelmsford stepped in and finished 7th, ahead of Lando Norris and Lewis Hamilton. Max Verstappen, who won it, and that was very boring, he always wins. He said very, very impressive. And I tell you what, this guy's one for the future.
Oh, he's one to watch, isn't he?
He
18 years old.
I mean,
what he'll be capable of.
Can you imagine how excited he is?
How much of his insurance? How much is his insurance going to be?
Well, I'd love to
on
know.
that car? I didn't get my provisional licence until I was 29.
How long's he been driving for?
That's what I mean.
Well, you can drive on circuits at any age, can't you?
Can you?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Can you?
Yes, on circuit.
Oh, there you go.
You're on private road, you can drive on.
Anne's got access to these fast cars, you see.
Hands across it, yeah. OK.
But extraordinary, absolutely extraordinary. He's somebody we're going to hear a lot of, I think, in the next few years.
Great. Very good. And he's an Essex boy as well. one of mine. I'll claim him as my own.
That's all right then,
He's
is it?
a good egg.
We'll be going through the papers in just a couple of moments, so don't go anywhere.
Patrick Christie's Tonight. Weekdays from 9 p.m.
Well, to cut a very long story short, I was the chaplain in a school, and a pupil asked me to preach on how come they were told they had to accept the LGBT stuff in a Christian school. I thought that was a fair question. So I said, ultimately, no, you don't have to accept anybody else's ideas. You make up your own minds. And so on topics like the marriage being between a man and a woman, biological sex being real, gender identity not making perfect sense, therefore can't be entirely true. I said, you may adopt the church's position on that and respect the people you disagree with, but you make up your own mind. For which, as you say, I was reported to Prevent, the anti-terror watchdog, secular safeguarding authorities, the Teaching Regulation Agency, Disclosure and Barring Service, all of whom eventually cleared me, but I lost my job at the school, and that's why there's legal action ongoing.
It's an incredibly powerful sermon, to be fair. What do you make of Justin Welby in his current role? I've obviously rattled off quite a few things there. I mean, you've had personal experience of feeling quite abandoned. What's your view on his position?
Well, he's doing a very difficult job, in fairness to him. My personal view is perhaps he's not doing the best job of it. I'll be diplomatic about it. In a sense, I'm on the wrong side of things as far as he's concerned, I guess. Not a word of support, not a whisper from anyone in the Church of England's hierarchy for someone simply saying, you may accept the Church of England's own teaching. And I can't quite see how he can square that in his own head. But he would have to answer to that himself, I guess.
I mean, the irony is that, though this is obviously through no fault of your own, the Church of England has recently baptised people who have gone on to not just be referred to Prevent, but actually commit acts of terrorism. Meanwhile, you were referred to Prevent for essentially teaching.
Tired of the usual focus-tested, pre-prepared Westminster runaround? Well, so am I.
So you want higher taxes?
Is your department to blame for this? Are you rethinking this policy? Every Sunday at 9:30, I'll be sitting down with those in power to get the truth about the issues affecting you. Let's be honest, we've known about the cost pressures of this project for years, not months. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show with personality. On GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, and I'm not here to tell you what to think. I'd much rather hear what you have to say. So send in your opinions to gbviews@gbnews.com. Keep them clean, and you never know, I might read them out. With my panel here on Jubes & Co, we debate, we get stuck into the issues of the day on a show where all views are welcome, especially yours. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good morning, welcome back. You are watching and listening to Breakfast with Ellie and Anne, and we're going through the papers now with personal finance and consumers affairs commentator Georgie Frost and broadcaster Pete Price. Very good morning to both of you, and I will put this to both of you, but I will start with you, Pete. This is a very distressing article, isn't it? As part of Earl Spencer's memoir, where he alleges he was sexually abused at age 11 at boarding school.
And also horrifically beaten as well. Yeah. What is sad about it is, I'll just negative for one side, I'm sad he's come up with it now, he's written a book, because it will sell books, because that's the headline. So let's get that out of the way. I'm a different generation to you, three beautiful ladies, and in my school, we were beaten mercilessly all the time, caned, get kneed in the leg, have blackboard dusters thrown at us. It was a different world, sadly, but to be abused is unreal, and I wonder how much, because people will read the story and go, that happened to me, oh my word, because it was a different world. There was nothing in place to know about paedophiles, and I think it's tragic. A little bit sad that it's come out.
Well, it's taken him this long to actually come to terms with it and to go to a therapist and talk through it and feel strong enough and brave enough to write about it, because he's come across contemporaries of his at the same school who have absolutely said the same thing happened to me, and it clearly went on at that school. It's very uncomfortable reading.
Oh, it's desperately uncomfortable, and on a personal level, if this is his experience and what he's been through, it's absolutely tragic. You don't want to be reading anything like this, but you hear more and more of these cases coming out, and it is absolutely deeply disturbing. So as you rightly said, look, if it means that other people start now talking about their experiences. There's another story in the paper this morning about Labour trying to prioritise men's health. Suicide is the biggest killer of men under 50. You know, I know talking about it isn't going to resolve any of these issues that you're reading here, but hopefully it will help people come to terms with the experiences they've been through.
I mean, what strikes you so much, sorry, Pete, when you read this article is just how complex it is and how difficult it was for him to unpick, because he even talks about the fact that it was abuse from a female matron towards young boys, and they were kind of applauded amongst their peers for getting this attention from this older female. And he said, well, if that was the other way around, and it was a 20-year-old male towards 11-year-old girls, it would be a very different story.
The other thing is, and there'll be many people watching now who've been through it, nobody believed a child years ago. Now they believe them, thank goodness, but years ago, nobody believed a child. It was brushed under the carpet. Oh, you're making it up, you're making it up. So he's also not only been abused, but he's gone through all that pain without talking to anybody.
He says at one point, when he used to go home for the holidays, and then he was preparing to go back to school, he was so terrified of going back to school that he seriously thought of getting one of his father's shotguns and shooting himself in the leg or the foot so that he wouldn't have to go back to that school. He seriously considered it many times.
Yeah. I mean,
and of course, you have to remember he was the only boy in that family. The other three children were girls, Princess Diana being one of them, of course, and their mother wasn't there. So he never got any real intimate love from an older...
So this book and this article will bring so many painful memories back to so many people watching now.
I think there's also another element of the royal family, just taking this a little bit further away from here, is what the royal family must be thinking about kind of another expose book at a time when there's a lot of attention on the royal family and where elements are and what they're doing at the moment. So I wonder how they will be feeling about this. No, he's not a member of the royal family, and actually, you know, neither.
It's interesting you say that, but then it also makes the royal family human. That it happens to them as well.
And hopefully it helps somebody, you know, just to speak about it so openly. You know, for someone that has suffered in the same way, that it gives them some comfort as well. I mean, he's obviously sought therapy and has come to terms with it. But
I mean, I know it wasn't only aristocracy, because Dickens wrote about such cruelties, didn't they, happening, you know, with people who weren't royal. But the way we in Britain treat, the way our aristocrats brought up their children. Gosh.
Well, it's that culture, isn't it? And he writes about that actually in the memoir, isn't it? It's being starved of affection.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons why he says that the boys actually longed for that attention from this matron is because they were so starved of it at home.
Isn't that interesting you say that? And Bob Monkhouse was a dear friend of mine. Sadly, we lost him. And I always remember Bob saying his mother never said she loved him.
Oh.
Always stayed with me, that forever. On Mother's Day as well.
Yeah.
Happy Mother's Day, guys.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, happy Mother's Day to all of you. Look, we have got a statement from the school, which we do have to read. It says it is difficult to read about practices which were sadly sometimes believed to be normal and acceptable at the time. Almost every facet of school life has evolved significantly since the 1970s. At the heart of the changes is the safeguarding of children and the promotion of their welfare. That's a statement from Madewell Hall School there.
I tell you what, going from something which was schooling all those years ago to something that's schooling nowadays, Pete, is a quarter of pupils are now using AI tools to help them do their homework, like ChatGPT.
Yep. Everybody's talking about AI, and the teachers are absolutely paranoid because they don't know what is in place to help them. I mean, I, for instance, could say to AI for my column on Thursday in the Echo, I could say, do me 300 words, and it does it in 30 seconds. That's how scary this is.
I wrote an introduction once to an interview I had to do, and I thought I'd just try it out. And I said, write it in the style of a daytime television presenter. And it was brilliant. I'm sad to say. We'll have to leave it there. We've run out of time. Let's get on with the weather.
Warm feeling inside from Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to your latest GB News weather from the Met Office. It's going to be a cloudy day today. There'll be outbreaks of light rain and drizzle, and it's still a chilly feel for the time of year too. And looking at the picture for this morning, a lot of cloud across the UK, outbreaks of rain across many areas, just a bit of sunshine towards the southwest, and that remains so for the afternoon too, but this could trigger 1 or 2 showers as we move through into the evening time. Elsewhere, generally it stays cloudy for much of the day. Outbreaks of light rain and drizzle, and the wind's still coming in off the North Sea, so a chilly feel for many of us. Into the evening time, this rain will continue to push its way westward. Still a lot of low cloud behind it, some drizzle in places too. So a damp evening to come, and that takes us into Monday as well. It remains cloudy through Sunday night. Further outbreaks of light rain and drizzle in places, some low cloud leading to some foggy conditions over the higher ground, and temperatures again falling to around mid-single figures due to the cloud cover not falling too low at all. But it does mean another cloudy grey start to Monday. Outbreaks of rain and drizzle feeding in off the North Sea, particularly down these eastern areas, remaining quite damp for much of the day. Best of any brighter spells will be towards western coast, but even here it will remain largely cloudy through the day. Some showery rain for Northern Ireland too, and temperatures just about getting into double figures. See you soon.
A brighter outlook with Box Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
We have a ton of top prizes to be won in our spring giveaway. There's a massive £12,345 in tax-free cash to spend however you like, along with £500 in shopping vouchers for your favourite store, a games console, a pizza oven, and a portable Sonos smart speaker. And the best news? You could be our next big winner, just like Phil.
Whoever wins it next is going to be as happy as I was, and they're going to get even more money this time round, so why wouldn't you go in the draw?
For your chance to win the vouchers, the treats, and £12,345 in tax-free cash, Text prize to 84902. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. Or post your name and number to GB03 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 5 p.m. on Friday the 29th of March. Full terms and privacy notice at gbnews.com/win. Please check the closing time if watching or listening on demand. Good luck.
GB News is the home of free speech. We were created to champion it, and we deliver it day in, day out.
Free speech allows us all to explore and debate openly the issues most important to us, our families, and of course, the British people.
Having challenging conversations to enlighten each other.
Which is why we hear all sides of the argument.
We are the People's Channel.
We will always stand by the freedom to express yourself.
On TV, radio and online.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
2024, a battleground year.
The year the nation decides.
As the parties gear up their campaigns for the next general election.
Who will be left standing when the British people make one of the biggest decisions of their lives?
Who will rise?
And who will fall? Let's find out together. For every moment, the highs, the lows, the twists and turns.
We'll be with you for every step of this journey.
In 2024, GB News is Britain's election channel.
Big news, big debates, big opinion. Patrick Christie's Tonight is the week's biggest show. Every weekday, 9 to 11 p.m, we've got the inside track on the day's top stories. There'll be sharp takes you won't get anywhere else. We will set the news agenda, not just follow it, and I want to bring you along for the ride. Whatever it is, we'll have our finger on the pulse. It's news, but it's this close to entertainment. Patrick Christie's Tonight, 9 to 11 p.m, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Christopher Hope.
And I'm Gloria Di Piero, bringing you
PMQ's Live here on GB News. Every Wednesday, we'll bring you live coverage of Prime Minister's questions when Rishi Sunak and Sir Keir Starmer go head-to-head in the House of Commons.
We'll be asking our viewers and listeners to submit the questions that they would like to put to the Prime Minister, and we'll put that to our panel of top politicians in our Westminster studio.
That's PMQ's Live here on GB News, Britain's election channel.
Hello. Good morning. It's 8 o'clock on Sunday, the 10th of March. Today, huge crowds gathered in London as pro-Palestinian protests took to the streets again. But discrepancies in the way those marches are being policed is causing controversy.
Princess Diana's brother, Earl Spencer, claims he was sexually abused from the age of 11 at boarding school.
Hollywood's Night of Nights, it's the Oscars, and all the stars are already gathering to celebrate the best in film. We'll be looking ahead to the likely big winners.
At 8:20, we'll be debating whether artificial intelligence could replace the arts. It's amid a rise in new AI music.
And of course, it's Mother's Day, so do get in touch with us. Tell us how you're celebrating today. Tell us about any special mother you want to give a shout out to, and we'll be glad to help. Aidan.
It was a truly thrilling day of upsets in the Six Nations, with England dramatically beating Ireland at Twickenham, while Scotland was stunned by Italy in Rome. In the Premier League, meanwhile, Arsenal went top of the table, but it's all eyes on Liverpool v Manchester City from Anfield this afternoon. More later.
Hello there, good morning. It is a cloudy, damp start for many of us first thing. Will it improve at all? Will there be some sunshine? Find out all the weather details coming up soon.
Great to be with you today. I'm Anne Diamond.
And I'm Ellie Costello, and this is Breakfast on GB News.
Yes, do get in touch about Mother's Day, because we're fully aware that, while for some people it's a very jolly day, others it really isn't. It's very poignant. We were talking earlier about the fact that if you wanted to be a mum and never got the chance to, or were, you know, I don't know, it just never happened for you for whatever reason, it can be quite a tough day to get through. And of course it's tough if you just lost your mum.
Yes.
Or even if you haven't just lost your mum, because you never forget. And it is a day when you particularly remember. And if you're doing a particular gesture towards a lost mum, maybe, or you're all planning a big lunch or something today, do tell us about it, please. Put a smile on our faces as well.
Yes.
But we are also remembering those for whom today is quite tough.
Very difficult, yes. Do keep those coming in to us. We'll share as many as we can throughout the programme. gbnews@gbnews.com.
Now to our top story this morning. Tens of thousands of pro-Palestinian demonstrators have filled the streets of the capital again.
Well, despite the Met Police revealing there were no significant public order disturbances, it is the actions of the Metropolitan Police which are coming under scrutiny today.
Yes, there's this interesting incident of a counter-protester who displayed a placard that said Hamas is terrorism, and he was arrested after protesters turned on him, leading to a very awful-looking brawl.
Well, the police said he was arrested for assault before being de-arrested after officers reviewed the footage.
However, after his arrest, he spoke, and this is what he had to say.
He told me, is it a danger for your life and for the people when they see maybe attack you?
And what did your sign say exactly?
Hamas is terrorist. This is it?
Yeah.
Nope.
That was the sign.
Police.
And that's what your sign said?
I told to police, they attacked me, and I want to complain.
Okay.
He said, go to police station near your home.
Well, let's get the latest now from our political correspondent, Catherine Forster. Very good morning to you, Catherine. And you were at this protest yesterday, as you have been for several weeks for us now on GB News. How did you find the scenes yesterday compared to what you've seen before?
Yes, good morning. I've been at many of these protests, starting with the first one the weekend following the atrocities on October the 7th. And they are largely peaceful. I was there all day yesterday. What tends to happen is there's people of all ages, all ethnicities, many thousands of people. As darkness falls, often that's when you get the few troublemakers, and there's usually a few out to make trouble. But yesterday, it finished at the American Embassy over the River Thames. In Vauxhall, and it was all done and dusted pretty much by 5 o'clock. You didn't have people gathering, as we've seen before, in Trafalgar Square, setting off flares, etc. So largely peaceful, but of course you can understand why many people in the Jewish community do feel that they can't go into central London on the days of these marches, because you have thousands of people, some, not many, I have to say, with their faces covered. But you do hear that chant from the river to the sea. Now, I have to say, you hear it occasionally. You tend to hear it only once or twice, and then they will stop because, of course, it is very controversial. Now, Michael Gove, the Levelling Up and Communities Secretary, is set to unveil a new definition of extremism in the next few days. He's been giving an interview, and he's basically been saying that he understands that there are good-hearted people going on these marches. So they're moved by suffering and they want peace. He says, but it may help some of them to question who are organising some of these events. I won't go into details now, but we will later. And he's basically saying that some of the groups involved have extremist views. He's also saying that of the chant, he said, it's not a call for peace. When you're saying from the river to the sea, you're explicitly saying, I want to see the end of Israel as a Jewish state, the Jewish homeland erased. So he is taking a tough stance on that chant. I haven't seen any arrests because of it. I wonder whether the law might change on that, but let's see. No sign of a ceasefire, of course, in Gaza at the moment, and until we see that, I do think these marches will continue.
Catherine, thanks very much indeed. Let's now go to former police detective Peter Blexley. Peter, how would you mark the behaviour, as it were, of the Met Police yesterday? Marks out of 10. Are they doing a good job in difficult circumstances, or could they do better?
Well, the senior leadership of the Met will reflect on yesterday, and in the absence of large, major disorder, I think they will be patting themselves on the back and saying it was a successful operation. But of course, a lot of public opinion doesn't chime with that because people would like to see robust action taken against those who chant offensive words, who display offensive placards and the like. Now, yesterday, of course, Mr. Nayak Gordani, who we saw earlier in the clip, was arrested after there had been a scuffle, and he was soon after de-arrested. Now, de-arresting is a fairly recent sort of police tactic that's developed in the last decade or so. But of course, that can come in for criticism because people will say, well, they slap the handcuffs on and then ask questions later. They will say it's a useful tool because it helps to rapidly de-escalate troublesome situations.
Yeah, I mean, de-arresting somebody doesn't undo the fact that he was arrested, filmed on camera, and all the rest of it. You can't undo that when it's so obvious and, like, filmed by people and put out on various social media. You can't undo it, can you?
I completely agree with you on that front. And it may be, of course, that Mr. Gordani, number one, has to go to a police station, like he was told, to report the alleged assault on him by protesters yesterday. I sincerely hope Mr. Gordani does that, and I sincerely hope that the police have retained the footage that we heard they'd reviewed to see if he was indeed the victim of any assault. And it might be interesting in terms of potential damage to reputation alongside physical damage and mental trauma to see if he sues the Metropolitan Police. So I suspect that this element of that story has got a little bit further to run.
Yeah, I expect so too. Peter, it's a real difficult balance for the police, isn't it? Because they have to balance up the right to free speech, the right to protest, and also wanting people, especially Jewish people, especially in the capital, to feel safe in their city. We are expecting in the days ahead this publication of a new official definition of extremism. Will that be helpful to the police in terms of setting out guidelines on perhaps how to deal with these sorts of instances?
Well, a definition might help, but what would be extremely useful, of course, is new laws that clearly define particular chants or behaviours as being illegal, because the police at the moment spend a bit too much time interpreting the law rather than enforcing it. And this is what is leading to growing disquiet amongst so many people who want to see these marches policed consistently and robustly. Now, Mr. Gordani's poster yesterday that he had with him actually was a statement of fact. Hamas is terrorism. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. And it was interesting to see that it was very swiftly pulled down by some of the protesters yesterday. So will he perhaps have set a precedent and empower more people who want to go to these marches and display similar posters to the one that he did yesterday? Will we see an increase in that? If we do, then I'm sure the police will be concerned because we might, again, see an increase in potential for trouble.
OK, Peter Bleksley, very good to see you this morning. Thank you so much for your time.
Right, it's just coming up to 11 minutes past 8, and I don't know if we're going to have enough energy to stay up all night to watch it, but it's Oscars night. Stephanie Tetchy is with us to tell us all about it.
You're right, Anne.
You've got to stay up all night.
I've got to stay up all night. I would love to be in Hollywood right now, but I'm happy to be here. But you're right, Anne, with the Oscars, dwindling viewers over the years. Like, even though last year they had 18.7 million viewers worldwide watching it, they still can't grab the attention of everybody who's not interested in films. But tonight it's going to be on ITV from 10 o'clock, so I think they will have a bit of a bigger British viewing than normally.
It's always been sort of Sky Cinema.
Yeah, so Sky's had it for the last 20 years and ITV have won the rights for it, so they'll be doing bits from the red carpet, and also Jonathan Ross will be hosting from the studio, so I think...
Have you ever done the red carpet?
No. Once I do the Oscars, I'm retiring from showbiz. So I'm like, give it a few more years, then I'm done.
It must be exciting.
It is exciting because, you know, when it comes to the Oscars, it's the pinnacle of achievement for a lot of film stars and also in award season. We've got over 20 nominations today, 20 awards, and 13 of them are going to Oppenheimer. So obviously that's based on the film on the father of the atomic bomb, and it's been directed by Christopher Nolan, who's a Brit, and if he wins Best Director tonight, it will be his first Oscar.
Really?
Yeah, his
Quite
first,
surprising.
yeah,
Such a
first
big
Oscar
name.
for director. Well, that's why people are quite shocked. So I do think he will have a good night, along with Cillian Murphy, if he wins Best Actor, first Irish actor to get that award as well. I think Robert Downey Jr. will also do well as Best Supporting Actor. But the thing I like about the Oscars, sometimes it is a night of upsets. You think something like Oppenheimer would do well.
Yes.
But then
it can come out of nowhere, almost unknown film.
Well, that film, which we might be talking about later on, is The Zone of Interest.
Oh.
So it's a Holocaust drama, and it's very gripping, very poignant. It's done well at the BAFTAs and the Golden Globe, so I think that's a wild card which might do well.
I haven't even heard of it.
Oh my gosh, it's really good. If you go and watch it, it's very poignant and it's done well.
Zone of Interest.
Yeah, The Zone of Interest. And a lot of these Holocaust dramas, war films, like last year we saw All Quiet on the Western Front. Not many people had saw it, but it done really well during award season. So it's all the members and their tastes and what they're going to vote for. A bone of contention is about Barbie, of course. It's got 8 awards, including Best Film, but nothing for Margot Robbie or the director.
How do you reason that? Why wouldn't she be at least nominated?
I really don't know. I think the members are quite critical. I think Barbie done well, £1.1 billion in the box office. But again, some people just think it's just plastic.
It's not generally it's not a popularity contest, is it? Because if it was, then you'd probably have Barbie winning Best Film, because it was one of made the most money in the box office.
And what people are saying, you've got this film which is all about feminism, but tonight it's all going to be about Ryan Gosling and his 65 Kens on stage. So
and he's got a nomination
and
as well.
he's Best Supporting Actor.
Yeah.
So, you know, people are saying the whole theme of the film hasn't landed well with awards and critics.
When I watched it, I didn't think feminism. I just thought
plastic.
Yeah, there's 2.5 hours I won't get back.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it didn't work for me, but it's obviously been very big box office.
It has been, and I think that's where awards get it wrong, because, you know, what most people like to go and know about and what they go to see, that's not what we see at award season. So that's why most people don't tune in. You know, you'll see you'll see the celebrities on the red carpet, but that's it. But
they are usually very highbrow. You know, we describe them as arty films. We were talking earlier about the cinematography. It is more of an appreciation of an art form than it would be what you'd enjoy seeing at the cinema.
Yeah, I mean, Maestro would be one of those.
Yes.
Obviously, it's a film that takes itself so seriously, darling. It's a serious
And Oppenheimer,
movie.
3 hours. It wasn't until the last hour where I really got into it, and I was like, this film could have just been an hour long, and that's what a lot of critics have been saying.
Yeah.
So
I started watching and thought, when are we going to see an atomic bomb go off, for heaven's sake? Will it ever get there? I don't know.
All of 5 minutes or so. But again, tonight, security is going to be tight. Over 2,000 security guards are going to be rounding the Dolby Theatre because of protesters. You know, they protested at the Grammys last month, so I think they want to make a statement. And it's not just pro-Palestine. I think it's the other side too.
Yes,
and they know the world's watching, so security has to be beefed up for this.
And I really do think, you know, these self-important actors and actresses who like to make a speech that means something to the world, they will be very tempted to say something.
And it's, you know, the world's watching, so, you know, they want to make those kind of statements, but most of their agents will warn them not to. But if you want to make those headlines, that's how it is. But I'm more excited about the fashion, and these people will be getting a goodie bag worth £110,000.
Jealous.
I'd love to go just for that.
The holidays, Anne. The holidays.
One to Switzerland, St. Bart's, and a Hollywood retreat.
Oh, very nice. I tell you what, saying if you red carpet it, you're there with a microphone and you want to interview people, that would terrify me, because I don't think I'd recognise them immediately. I'd miss some big stars.
And Hollywood is changing, because I used to love the Oscars from like the early 90s, when you really see those big golden Hollywood stars, where now it's really chop and change. Who you see this year, you might not see for another couple of years.
But it is worth watching for the frocks.
It is,
some people make some absolute horror shows.
Yeah,
don't they?
some look fabulous
and
too.
other people certainly get it right.
Yeah, I feel sorry for the men, because they can't
they
really
just wear
make
the
a
tux,
statement.
don't they?
Yeah.
It's a suit, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, Stephanie, lovely to see
Thanks
you.
for
You're
having
going to have
me,
a busy night
guys.
tonight. Go have a nap. Now, it is Mother's Day, isn't it?
It is Mother's Day today. Time to celebrate our mums, even if they're no longer with you anymore.
Yeah. Now, gifts and cards are being brought to shower our mums in love and affection, along with going out for food and drinks to mark the occasion. Mother's Day is a huge boost for business.
Yeah, it's big business. And our Yorkshire reporter, Anna Riley, went along to a Mother's Day event in Harrogate, which is actually aimed at increasing trade in the town this weekend.
3, 2, 1, go!
It's Mothering Fun Day in Harrogate, a free inflatable event for mums and children to win top Mother's Day themed prizes. The Dash and Grab game is hosted by Harrogate Improvement District with the aim of boosting sales for businesses in the town this weekend.
I think at the moment it's really important to support local businesses because we're in a cost of living crisis. There's challenges around the budget was announced this week, so there's challenges around business rates, around rent that businesses pay. So every penny that people can support local businesses and national retailers really does matter. So whether it's Harrogate or whether it's other town or city centre, it's really important now more than ever to support your local town. So Mother's Day, Father's Day, Christmas, summer holidays, it's just a really good time to support businesses to increase footfall, increase spend and just celebrate those people that matter to you.
Bouncing with joy, mums and kids here enjoy the tradition of Mother's Day. It's a special occasion to honour and appreciate mothers for their love, care and hard work.
Well, I think it's nice. I think mums often do a lot of stuff, quite thankless stuff, don't they? So, yeah, it's nice to be recognised.
I'm going to be able to spend it with my mum and my partner's mum, but also this one as well. So we're going to have a really nice day together celebrating Harrogate.
And yeah, it's going to be really fun because it's about loving your mum. It's a happy Mother's Day and we wanted to celebrate for our Mother's Day. She looks after us. I need getting to the shops and getting her some chocolate. It shows her that she's really special and we all love her, so it's just nice to have a special day to celebrate her.
With shoppers in Britain expected to spend £1.7 billion on Mother's Day this year, the celebration is a triumph for trade as well as a fun time for families. Anna Riley, GB News, Harrogate.
Lovely day, and lovely Harrogate too.
Yeah, it certainly is.
Oh, shall we start some of these lovely views we've had in about Mother's Day?
Oh, they just are lovely, aren't they?
Paula says, hi, if it's possible to read this out, I'd be so grateful. Morning, Paula. Just to say a massive thanks to my mum, Leslie, from Whitstable. She is such a wonderfully supportive and loving mum who always puts everyone first. I'm envisioning her watching now.
Me too,
it's
yeah.
getting me upset now.
Oh.
She said, she puts everyone first and makes the best roast dinners, of course. Sorry that I'm at work today, but I'll see you later with Holly and Harry. We all love you so much. Try and relax today, but do whatever makes you happy. Love to you always, Mummy, and thank you for everything.
Oh, it's just so lovely. Oh, it's so lovely reading all the lovely, lovely messages. This one, and it is, we've been reflecting all morning, it is a difficult day. For lots of people for many, many different reasons. Sarah's one of them who says, I am finding today very difficult as I haven't seen my son for 3 years due to a silly argument. He has 2 children, my grandchildren. I have not yet had the pleasure of meeting them, but if I thought for 1 second that I'd never see him again, I would have held on to him and never, ever let him go.
Oh, Sarah. Oh,
so
I feel
difficult.
for you so much. And it's so sad. Yeah, me too. Let's hope that it's not going to be for much longer.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Duncan says, I lost my mum to cancer when I was 8. I'm 60 now, but I still say in my head, Happy Mother's Day.
Oh.
No matter how long everyone misses their mum. That's Duncan.
Oh, it's going to set me off.
Absolutely right. I know, this is really lovely.
Catherine says, Happy Mother's Day to all mums. Mine has just turned 104 and she is just lovely.
Wow. Tom says, I'm 80 and I'm writing my autobiography. It's amazing the influence my mother had on my life and career. I miss her every day. Mum made it to 96 and outlived 3 husbands. Oh. Wow. She sounds as she was quite a remarkable person.
Yes, she does.
Oh, shall we do Nicola's as well?
Yes.
And then you do Carol's, yeah?
OK, yes.
All right, Nicola says, I'm a mother to 2 and a grandmother to 2. I'm a kinship carer to one of my grandchildren since she was 1 and estranged from her mother. There are over 180 kinship... must be 1,000.
180,000, yeah.
Kinship carers in the UK. And it's sadly becoming more common. That's when you sort of take over the role of mum, isn't it? So it's bittersweet, but important to remember there are many with no mum, others with 2 mums, and various combinations thereof.
Yeah.
And today is about thanking those special people in your life that do that role, because it's not as straightforward as it used to be.
That's a really,
brilliant point,
really good point, yeah. And the stepmums, I imagine, that must be a difficult relationship sometimes. So, you know, to you as well, happy Mother's Day. And Carol says, I'm an American living in England for 47 years. My son, who's born here, tells me that since I'm an American, I won't be getting a card today. He says he'll get me one for Americans' Mother's Day in May instead. Of course, being a male, he forgets every year. What is a mother to do?
You have to remind them.
Carol, you have to drop them a text and say it's Mother's Day.
It's Mother's Day, and by the way, I am expecting a card at the very least.
I had to remind Peter Andre yesterday.
Yeah. He didn't know.
No, and he's got baby number 3 or 4 coming.
Oh,
and I said, it's obviously Mother's Day tomorrow. And he went, Mother's Day tomorrow? And I went, yes. I went, you just get something from the kids. And he went, blind panic. So anyway.
Well, at least you avoided a problem there.
That's fine. So that's
I tell you what, before we move on, and there is still time to get those messages into us, by the way, if you want to give a shout-out to a very special person that you think of on Mother's Day, then get it into us, gbviews@gbnews.com. But Buckingham Palace have released a Mother's Day picture of the King and the late Queen. Isn't it lovely that they've done it that way? And on their Instagram, they've written, wishing all mothers and those who are missing their mums today a peaceful Mothering Sunday.
Oh, goodness, how beautiful is that?
That's lovely. Of course, the King is remembering his mum.
Oh, that's emotional, isn't it? Looking at the Queen, I love the, like you said, the focus on her late Majesty and her smiling face. She's so proud there, and King Charles kissing her hand. What a beautiful moment.
It's a lovely, lovely
between
photograph.
mother and son, and a beautiful choice there too.
And it reminds you that it doesn't matter how old you are, if you had a lovely mum and you can still miss her, even if you lost her quite a while ago. And I never, you never think of that. The King will be thinking of his mum today.
Oh, he will. Yeah, he will. What a beautiful, beautiful image. Do keep those messages coming in. It is an honour to read them this morning. Very emotional. I'm sure it's emotional in your house as well, for all of those who love their mummies. Let's take a look at the weather, shall we now, with Greg.
Looks like things are heating up. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to your latest GB News weather from the Met Office. It's going to be a cloudy day today. There'll be outbreaks of light rain and drizzle, and it's still a chilly feel for the time of year too. And looking at the picture for this morning, a lot of cloud across the UK, outbreaks of rain across many areas, just a bit of sunshine towards the southwest, and that remains so for the afternoon too, but this could trigger 1 or 2 showers as we move through into the evening time. Elsewhere, generally it stays cloudy for much of the day. Outbreaks of light rain and drizzle, and the wind's still coming in off the North Sea, so a chilly feel for many of us. Into the evening time, this rain will continue to push its way westward. Still a lot of low cloud behind it, some drizzle in places too. So a damp evening to come, and that takes us into Monday as well. It remains cloudy through Sunday night. Further outbreaks of light rain and drizzle in places, some low cloud leading to some foggy conditions over the higher ground, and temperatures again falling to around mid-single figures due to the cloud cover not falling too low at all. But it does mean another cloudy grey start to Monday. Outbreaks of rain and drizzle feeding in off the North Sea, particularly down these eastern areas, remaining quite damp for much of the day. Best of any brighter spells will be towards western coast, but even here it will remain largely cloudy through the day. Some showery rain for Northern Ireland too, and temperatures just about getting into double figures. See you soon.
That warm feeling inside from Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Thanks, Greg. Well, here's your chance now to enter our latest Great British giveaway and win £12,345 in cash and a whole host of seasonal treats.
We're springing into spring and giving you the chance to win the seasonal essentials. First, there's an incredible £12,345 in tax-free cash to be won, plus a spring shopping spree with £500 in shopping vouchers to spend in the store of your choice. And finally, a garden gadget package to enjoy, including a handheld games console, a portable smart speaker and a pizza oven. For your chance to win the vouchers, the treats and £12,345, £245 in tax-free cash, text GBWIN to 84902. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. Or post your name and number to GB03 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 5 p.m. on Friday the 29th of March. Full terms and privacy notice at gbnews.com/win. Please check the closing time if watching or listening on demand. Good luck.
Yes, good luck. That would be a good Mother's Day gift, wouldn't it? Mind you, you won't know about it for a while. Right, do stick with us. Still to come, could artificial intelligence ever replace the arts? That's next.
Martin Daubney, weekdays from 3 p.m.
Our woke army, a topic we talk about almost every day on this show. And now the decision to allow women to join frontline army fighting has been described as a failed exercise in political correctness, because government figures reveal that only 15 female recruits completed basic training for either infantry or tank units between January and September of 2023. A senior army officer says women are put off joining frontline units amid numerous allegations of rape and sexual discrimination. Well, joining me now is former NATO commander and Royal Navy officer Rear Admiral Chris Parry, CBE. Chris, always a pleasure to see you on the show. So here we are again, we're talking about diversity targets, and it seems that no matter how much they huff and they puff, young women simply aren't joining up.
Well, I mean, the life's not for everybody, Martin. It's not even for most men, to tell you the truth. This is a tough life, and it's a life that is geared towards the sort of physical and mental, I hesitate to say skills, but aptitudes that men have. You know, the idea that men and women are interchangeable in all these roles is ridiculous. What we need to have is all roles open to both men and women, and those that are suitable and have the aptitude for those jobs should be going into them. If we've got 15 women who are going into the infantry and the armoured corps, then that's fine. They're the ones that are suitable. It's as simple as that. Any idea that we should have quotas or any sort of percentage of people from certain ethnic groups or from women is ridiculous. We want the best people who serve our country and can defend it.
I think the most exciting bit for me is talking to people.
People who I think are ignored often by the major news channels. We're going to give news they want to hear. There's a voice there that needs to be heard. I think there's a chance here for a diversity of opinion to be expressed, which you don't find elsewhere. It's really exciting.
We don't hold back. We're free to say how decisions that are taken here
affect us all around the country. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Tired of the usual focus-tested, pre-prepared Westminster runaround? Well, so am I.
So you want higher taxes?
Is your department to blame for this? Are you rethinking this policy? Every Sunday at 9:30, I'll be sitting down with those in power to get the truth about the issues affecting you.
Let's be honest, we've known about the cost pressures of this project for years, not months.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show with personality. On GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Breakfast with Ellie and Anne. Really good to have your company this morning.
Now, we're going to be talking AI and whether it's going to take over your job, your livelihood, your profession. Because the Angel songwriter Guy Chambers has said that the increasing use of artificial intelligence in music is utterly terrifying.
But some argue that using AI in artistic fields can help us reach new levels of creativity.
So today we're debating, should AI be used in art? Well, it is already being, I suppose. It's inevitable that it's going to happen. But joining us now, the co-founder of Implement AI, Piers Linney, and music publicist Michael Infante. Good morning to you both. Let's start with Piers, you, because I presume you think not only is it inevitable, but I mean, it's happening already, isn't it?
Good morning from my mum's, by the way. It's inevitable. It's inevitable. You're seeing that, in ChatGPT, you may have used it. The G stands for generative, generation. So this technology is very, very good at generating, words, images, video, even, and sounds. So, the great thing about you mentioned actually is that anybody now. I mean, our corporate Christmas card was basically a song AI created with lyrics and a jingle for every client individually. So. Yes, there are issues about, provenance and where it comes from and making sure artists get paid. But also it means now that everybody can be creative. Maybe you have to watermark everything. Maybe that's a use case for NFTs finally, so that artists know that that's from the artist. But my personal view is this is going to go full circle. And eventually we're going to want to pay a premium for, human-generated creativity.
OK. Michael, really interested to know what you think. What do you think this will do to the industry?
Well, I think it's the natural evolution that you're going to have technology step into where people were. But there is, of course, the love and the depth that a human artist will bring to creativity. But using tools such as AI assisting, if you like, the way that we work is the same as any kind of other industry that's been affected. If we go back now 400 years, the agrarian revolution, the industrial revolution, we talk about tools and machinery coming in and assisting mankind in the way that it works. So I don't see it as a threat. I think the genie is out of the bottle. I think that the creativity that would worry most composers and writers is going to be a short-lived point until we get really masters of our own destiny the way we work. However, we've been using AI for all kinds of experiments. We represent, over 4,000 or 5,000 artists in publishing, and I know that most of them will be experimenting. In fact, I was talking to Ray Dorset of Mungo Jerry, and I was on your show a couple of weeks ago, and we were showing a release of some vinyl music that has just made a comeback in terms of artists working with vinyl. So we're kind of going Stone Age to Space Age and back again. Yeah. So what we'd like to see is people not really worrying about it, but use it in the same way as you would any other tool.
It's interesting, though, isn't it, well, both of you, but Piers first, that throughout history, there's always been lawsuits brought by one composer against another, saying, that little tiny phrase is something I invented. I wrote it myself. And it's very difficult to sometimes tell where something came from. Aren't we going to see that the more AI takes over doing music? Because inevitably it's going to pick up on these little phrases that somebody somewhere is going to say, that's not AI generated, that was me, I wrote that 20 years ago.
Yeah, this is a big issue. I'm actually a lawyer by training, so I kind of follow this. So copyright law, it wasn't really created in this age. It really struggles to handle so the age of AI. So you're seeing various court cases in the US that are kind of being thrown out, and the argument is that we can all see art and absorb it, and then be inspired by it to create our own art. And there's that fine line between blatant copying and plagiarism and then being inspired. So the argument is these models are being inspired. Otherwise, also, it's been very, very complicated for every single person on social media that creates a little jingle or some little video to get paid out, a bit like they do in the music business. So there's a public interest issue that you don't want to block it because this technology is a game changing for humanity.
Michael, last word to you.
Well, we've, as music producers and publishers, we've also created technology called TCAT, which can trace, it's a binary product. It will trace and track the algorithms of the way music is written. So artists will be able to, and music copyright law will be able to use something like TCAT to track the algorithms of the way music is composed. But I don't see any time soon where suddenly we're going to be finding, Hal coming into the law courts and being cross-examined by various lawyers and saying, did you create this? Or, there's one counter. And the one counter is, if there's no electricity and you turn the power off, you're back to a guy with his pen, his ink, writing a record.
Absolutely, very good. Get rid of electricity, I say. Talk about going back to the Stone Age.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, both, thank you very much indeed. Fascinating subject.
Yeah, it certainly is. Let us know what you think about that. gbviews@gbnews.com.
And still to come, Aidan McGee will be back with your sport, and then we'll be looking through the newspapers.
GB News is the home of free speech. We were created to champion it, and we deliver it day in, day out.
Free speech allows us all to explore and debate openly the issues most important to us, our families, and of course, the British people.
Having challenging conversations to enlighten each other.
Which is why we hear all sides of the argument.
We are the People's Channel.
We will always stand by the freedom to express yourself.
On TV, radio, and online.
This is GB News,
Britain's news channel.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, and I'm not here to tell you what to think. I'd much rather hear what you have to say. So, send in your opinions to gbviews@gbnews.com. Keep them clean, and you never know, I might read them out. With my panel here on Jubes & Co, we debate, we get stuck into the issues of the day on a show where all views are welcome, especially yours. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
2024, a battleground year.
The year the nation decides.
As the parties gear up their campaigns for the next general election.
Who will be left standing when the British people make one of the biggest decisions of their lives?
Who will rise?
And who will fall? Let's find out together.
For every moment, the highs, the lows, the twists and turns.
We'll be with you for every step of this journey.
In 2024, GB News is Britain's election channel.
I think the most exciting bit for me is talking to people.
People who I think are ignored often by the major news channels. We're going to give news they want to hear. There's a voice there that needs to be heard. I think there's a chance here for a diversity of opinion to be expressed, which you don't find elsewhere. It's really exciting.
We don't hold back. We're free to say how decisions that are taken here
affect us all around the country. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Andrew Doyle. Join me at 7 o'clock every Sunday night for Free Speech Nation, the show where I tackle the week's biggest stories in politics and current affairs with the help of my two comedian panellists and a variety of special guests.
Free Speech Nation, Sunday nights from 7 on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Your weekend starts here with Friday Night Live with me, Mark Dolan, 8 till 9 on GB News. Big stories, big guests and big laughs as we get you ready for a cracking weekend. That's Friday Night Live with Mark Dolan. Fridays 8 till 9 on GB News. Bring your own drinks. The admission's free.
Good afternoon, Britain.
Good afternoon, Britain. Join us, Tom and Emily,
To find out what's happening in the heart of Westminster.
and why it matters to you.
Weekdays from midday, we bring you the most compelling stories from across the United Kingdom.
And from your doorstep to our inbox.
That's right, we want to hear from you.
GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Happy Mother's Day again. You're going to read out the one from Emily.
Yes, lovely one from Emily, who says, Happy Mother's Day to my mum, Christine. And this is so lovely. I gave birth to my baby boy this week. Congratulations, Emily. Let us know his name. It's been a very emotional and stressful week. My mum has been so supportive and showing me what it means to be a mummy.
Oh, yes. Yeah,
how lovely is that?
And just before we go to Aidan for the sport, Aidan, I thought you'd like this one. Emma says, our mom, Janet, is so kind because she's letting us go to the football, Villa v Spurs, instead of a Mother's Day lunch today. She knows that football comes first.
Well, it'll be a feast of football, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
It certainly was a race to the top four, that one. But I want to start on rugby, if possible.
OK.
Because it was a terrific day yesterday, in the words of Harry Redknapp, who appears on this show sometimes. England 23, Ireland 22. Now, we spoke to Lewis Moody, didn't we, yesterday, and he said, well, basically, even though he's a England World Cup winner, he was saying that England didn't have much of a chance. Yesterday, it really came of age, this tournament. Every match we've seen so far has kind of gone with form. You could probably make an exception for the opening night when Ireland went to France and won, but Ireland are still meant to be the best side in the world. They went to Twickenham yesterday. Psychology issues there as well, I think, and we said, didn't we, that yesterday that Ireland struggled to get past the quarter-finals. They also struggled at Twickenham. Lewis Moody said yesterday that Twickenham wouldn't be a factor yesterday, but it most certainly was. The crowd were absolutely fantastic. Yeah. And there was a drop kick in the last minute of the game from Marcus Smith. Marcus Smith, much maligned in the past because he wasn't particularly trusted by Eddie Jones for all those years, a very creative player. He's been out for the last 3 matches with a calf injury, and he came good in much the same way as Johnny Wilkinson did back in 2003. sorry, not Lewis Moody, I keep mentioning him, don't I? Jamie George, the captain, said that I do indeed. Yeah, he's great.
He was great.
He was great, yeah, he's brilliant. Yeah, he liked you as well, Anne, remember? He
yes,
said
he did.
Well, Jamie George, the captain, said it was one of my proudest days, and we must look, though, at Scotland, who went to Italy. Italy, a terrible team, I have to say.
How many have they lost at home?
They've lost at home, so it's 26 home defeats in a row.
That really is.
Do you know what, though? They actually played well against France earlier in the tournament, and they gave England a bit of a scare as well. So there have been signs that they've been willing to get it together. Scotland in good form.
It takes courage to go out again and again and again.
Well, it does. It does. There'll be a film made about them someday, won't they? But they've lost 13 Six Nations matches in a row. But yesterday, 31-29 against Scotland. They braved a bit of a later onslaught, but that was an embarrassing result for Scotland, and it stopped their chances of winning the overall Six Nations. So a good day's work for Italy, and shows that there's a day for the underdog. Every dog has its day.
Yes.
Should we take a look at the Premier League?
Yes.
And Wolves have been in a good run, haven't they?
Oh, they have, yeah. Gary O'Neill is a Bromley resident, actually. I see him at my local cafe called The Drawing Room now and again. I should drop that in now and again. So Gary O'Neill has done a superb job there. He was dispensed with by Bournemouth last season, having kept them up. He took the Wolves job, I think, a few days before the start of the season. These players were leaving left, right and centre, and magnificent, the job that he's doing. He's going to be a serious contender now for when Gareth Southgate finally steps aside, which could, of course, be after the Euros. He's done that well. So, yeah, kudos to him, absolutely. But yesterday, the big story was Arsenal. They beat Brentford 2-1. You asked the question last hour, what was Ramsdale doing in goal? Goodness me, that's a question we all wonder what on earth he was doing, actually, because it was a routine clearance. Johan Visser came in and he just ricocheted it into the net. It gave Brentford an equaliser. They turned it round. The teammates said at half-time that they would do it to spare his blushes, and they did. And it meant that Arsenal went top of the league, and that leads us into, later today, Manchester City against Liverpool. A draw would suit Arsenal. That keeps them top of the league, but this is probably the biggest game in world football right now. And as we said last hour, the black market is seeing tickets exchanging for £6,500.
Doesn't surprise me at all.
Absolutely extraordinary.
Up from 60 quid.
Yeah, that's the face value. I mean, you may even get it cheaper. If you bought a season ticket, it'll probably average out even less per game, but it's a hell of a commitment, isn't it, to be there every single match. So that's going to be a huge game today. It could be the last between Klopp and Pep. I personally think Jurgen Klopp's got another job in him. I think he's a little bit too young to quit at this stage. Do you think so?
Couldn't tell you what it is, but...
No, I don't want to speculate.
He wants to go out on a high.
Yeah, he does. He could do that. He's rebuilt the side. They're going for a quadruple.
Oh, yeah.
City could win back-to-back trebles.
Excuse me, could you stop talking as though you know what you're talking about here?
No, Jurgen Klopp, I do actually have an opinion on. I actually do. Yeah. So he's in for the Carabao Cup.
He won the Carabao Cup and a few other bits.
But he's looking good, and that's why he wants to retire.
He's dyed his hair. He definitely looks good today.
That's my take on Jurgen Klopp.
I'm convinced.
Thank you, Anne. Do stay with us. Thank you, Aidan.
No worries.
Pete Price and Georgie Frost are going to be back with us shortly. We're going through the papers.
Big news, big debates, big opinion. Patrick Christie's Tonight is the week's biggest show. Every weekday, 9 to 11 p.m, we've got the inside track on the day's top stories. There'll be sharp takes you won't get anywhere else. We will set the news agenda, not just follow it, and I want to bring you along for the ride. Whatever it is, we'll have our finger on the pulse. It's news, but it's this close to entertainment. Patrick Christie's Tonight, 9 to 11 p.m, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel. GB News is the home of free speech. We were created to champion it, and we deliver it day in, day out.
Free speech allows us all to explore and debate openly the issues most important to us, our families, and of course, the British people.
Having challenging conversations to enlighten each other.
Which is why we hear all sides of the argument.
We are the People's Channel.
We will always stand by the freedom to express yourself.
On TV, radio and online.
This is GB News,
Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast. Every day from 6 a.m.
Look, you're a respected royal biographer, and there are so many people who are on the sort of royal gravy train, if you will, people who are making a career out of gossip and speculation. But yours very much built on confidence and sources and facts. And you don't offer an opinion that often inside your book. But when you do, I suppose, therefore, it carries a bit more weight. So when you say that the Sussexes are easily offended and, you know, effectively pretty prickly, what do you mean and what have you based that on?
Well, on numerous
their riposte to any given situation in their books, in their TV interviews. And let's not forget, a lot of TV interviews, 6-part Netflix drama, Spare, you see time and again that they feel they feel resentful. They feel that something hasn't gone their way, and that this is part of some sort of calculated campaign against them. And actually, when you've got a fast-moving story, for example, in my book, I go into those frantic hours after the death of the Queen, and everybody's trying to sort themselves out. And Harry writes in his book Spare how no one will return his calls, and he can't get through to anyone, and it's it's just all a bit me. And actually, the whole kind of royal machine, if you like, is a team effort. And I just think it's very sad because, Harry and Meghan, they had such potential. And now when we do tend to hear from them, on a royal matter, it's just to say how miserable they were being royal. And that was, they were royal for whatever it was, 600-700 days. They're post-royal now for over
Can you envisage a scenario where they're back in England and they're back in royal life?
I can't envisage a situation where they're back, as it were, as part of the sort of royal working unit, but I could certainly see it becoming a kind of normal thing for them to keep.
Welcome back to Breakfast with Anne and Ellie. Really good to have your company with us this morning. We are going through the papers with personal finance and consumers affairs commentator Georgie Frost and the broadcaster Pete Price. Really good to have you both with us this morning. And Georgie, wanted to start with you. The Sunday Mirror front page today is Brianna Jai's mother, who has just been incredible, really, her strength to be able to campaign for things in the wake of Brianna's death. And now she wants to create mindful lessons as part of the national curriculum in schools.
Yeah, look, she says nothing will obviously bring back her daughter. This is an absolute tragedy. On Mother's Day as well, it's a reminder that there will be mothers grieving, but, she says it won't bring back her daughter, but bringing in mindfulness sort of classes into the curriculum will try and encourage kids just to be a bit more kind. I've taught mindfulness, so I know exactly the benefits of what it can bring. It also has its critics as well. It can make you, they argue, quite self-centred. But I think a lot of it is just about understanding your emotions and your feelings.
And empathy.
Yes, but a lot of it is about, when you feel your mind spiralling and going off, and is this feeling real? Right. Is this emotion? Where is this emotion coming from? It's treating it as though you would a pain in your arm. To look at it more detached, it's understanding how you're feeling. Which, when you're a child and going through all of those issues, I don't know that this is going to have any influence on this sort of case. But I think she's not aware of that. I think here is a mother who wants to channel her grief into something positive, and all power to her.
And that's what she's doing. She's using this to deal with her grief. She's a remarkable woman. But you see, all that she does at school, being negative as I always am, is undone when they go back to their room and go onto their computer and start looking at social media, and all that fabulous work that she's done is going to be undone.
What do we do about this? Because, social media, I know there's a good side to it, but
I'm trying to think, what is the good side to it?
Well, I don't know.
Honestly,
I was trying to be kind.
I know, but I can't think.
Well, it connects people, doesn't it?
But in a real way.
Yeah, but it's also cruel. It's because they can stand there and go, da-da-da-dum, send. Yeah. And it's just, and it can't be policed. I don't care what anyone says. The vileness that is written about me, not so much now I'm off radio, but when I was on radio, I'm strong-willed, but some people are absolutely distraught.
We were talking about this yesterday in reflecting what Meghan Markle said the night before, saying that she was trolled so horrifically, especially when she was pregnant. And my reaction to that was, well, then, if I'd been her friend, I would have said to her, put your phone down and don't engage it. Don't read it.
Yeah.
What else can you say?
But you can't say this to young people because they'll feel left out. You know what it was like when we were young, even if we didn't have social media. You don't want to be the one left out. I cannot imagine, and I'm so glad that when I was growing up and when I went to university particularly, that there was no social media around. But now I think what needs to happen is schools, teachers, parents are the ones we need to target. They need to understand the power of this. We talked about AI earlier. Understand technology and the uses and all of this sort of thing, and then we can hopefully teach our kids.
Yeah, it's interesting
how to
what you
understand
say.
it.
What you say, George, is so right. Coronation Street have been dealing with 3 kids who've been bullied, and it's the peer pressure from other kids, and that's just a story. But that's what's happening in the real world. It is very cruel social media.
Is there any way the techie people could come up with a filter that, well, you know, in all the techie
I like that,
people.
yeah. The techie people.
So before you are at, you said you write something vicious, you press send, and it's out there. Between the pressing of the button and it being published, is there a filter it could go through?
Well,
that some AI robot says
isn't it-
somewhere, this is unacceptable, I'm not going to post this.
Isn't it interesting you say that? A friend of mine's been banned from Facebook for putting the word kill up. But she was saying, my husband, I'm going to kill him when I get home. As you would do as a joke, she's been banned because she said kill.
My question with this is, do we want to give big corporations like Meta, like Elon Musk, the power to police our rights and our freedoms of expression?
Language, yeah.
Great point.
Because I think about the mastectomy pictures that were put up on Facebook and they were banned for being explicit. Really? These are women who've gone through cancer and had their breasts removed. I don't want Facebook or Meta to police what they deem to be the right thing, but there can be things like AI tools, and there will be AI tools. I think with anything, we have a pendulum swinging.
But it's, at the
it's
moment,
gone one way, I hope it will come
Elon
back.
Musk's and all the others, they're profiting from their ability to publish anything that people want to say, and I think that's immoral too.
I do, look, as I said, I think it's all of this is happening so fast and as we said, we spoke about AI in schools. It's happening so fast that governments, that teachers, that parents really can't keep up. So inevitably, with any new technology, you have this massive swing. Bearing in mind, Twitter's only been around since, 2006? It's not a long time. I think eventually we'll get to a stage where hopefully we understand it better and we can manage it better, but, you know.
Meanwhile, can we teach people to be more kind?
Quite.
Yeah, hard job. But start with your mothers. It's Mother's Day.
Yes, it
Be
is.
kind to your mother and enjoy every minute of it. And the people who've lost their mothers love you.
Can I read this one out from Sarah?
Yeah.
This is Eileen. Come on, Eileen.
Come
you were
on,
singing.
Eileen, that's what I was singing.
I would love to be able to wish my mum, Eileen, an amazing Mother's Day today. She's always watching the show. Great, thank you. And would be really wonderfully pleased to be mentioned. She has brought up 5 children, has 11 grandchildren and 2 great-grandchildren. She is absolutely brilliant and we all love her so much.
Oh, how lovely.
It's worth mentioning, Eileen.
Yeah, and Eunice has been in touch saying mothers deserve all the Oscars and all the other awards far more than any of the actor people. In the main Mother's Guide, those who will be our next generation and get little reward, scrap the awards for film and TV, I say, and give the prizes to our mums.
Yeah, and Murphy, please could you send all my love and thanks to my mum Veronica, who, despite losing her own mum at the age of 10, has been the best mum to me and my 2 sisters. And even though she raised us all by herself, she got on with it. We love you lots, Mum. Thank you so much for your... Sorry to...
Happy Mother's Day to my mother as well. I have to get in there.
Yes.
Doctor, 3 kids, raised us on her own, so thank you, Mother.
Yeah.
What's her name?
Sheila.
Sheila, happy Mother's Day to you.
thank
She sounds like
you.
an absolute star.
She is.
And
She's
Pete,
the
tell us
best.
about your bracelet, because that was a lovely story.
This is a great story. So that was my 21st birthday present, and it's an ID bracelet that my mum bought me, and I've
Lovely
kept
one.
it all my life, and it wore out, and then I had it rebuilt. But she made a total show of me, because I went, Mum, what's that? She's put my name and address on it in case I got lost. And I said, what happens? What happens if we change? She said, if we move addresses, I'll change it. Mother, you made a total show of me. Pete Price, 5A Bridge Road, West Kirby.
He knows who he is still. Isn't that wonderful?
Oh,
Thank you
it's
so
lovely.
much.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much for lovely, lovely stories from you today. Happy Mother's Day yet again. Here's Greg Dewhurst with your weather.
Looks like things are heating up. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to your latest GB News weather from the Met Office. It's going to be a cloudy day today. There'll be outbreaks of light rain and drizzle, and it's still a chilly feel for the time of year too. And looking at the picture for this morning, a lot of cloud across the UK, outbreaks of rain across many areas, just a bit of sunshine towards the southwest, and that remains so for the afternoon too, but this could trigger 1 or 2 showers as we move through into the evening time. Elsewhere, generally it stays cloudy for much of the day. Outbreaks of light rain and drizzle, and the wind's still coming in off the North Sea, so a chilly feel for many of us. Into the evening time, this rain will continue to push its way westward. Still a lot of low cloud behind it, some drizzle in places too. So a damp evening to come, and that takes us into Monday as well. It remains cloudy through Sunday night. Further outbreaks of light rain and drizzle in places, some low cloud leading to some foggy conditions over the higher ground, and temperatures again falling to around mid-single figures due to the cloud cover not falling too low at all. But it does mean another cloudy grey start to Monday. Outbreaks of rain and drizzle feeding in off the North Sea, particularly down these eastern areas, remaining quite damp for much of the day. Best of any brighter spells will be towards western coast, but even here it will remain largely cloudy through the day. Some showery rain for Northern Ireland too, and temperatures just about getting into double figures. See you soon.
That warm feeling inside from Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
We're springing into spring and giving you the chance to win the seasonal essentials. First, there's an incredible £12,345 in tax-free cash to be won, plus a spring shopping spree with £500 in shopping vouchers to spend in the store of your choice. And finally, a garden gadget package to enjoy, including a handheld games console, a portable smart speaker and a pizza oven. For your chance to win the vouchers, the treats and £12,345 in tax-free cash, text GBWIN to 84902. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message, or post your name and number to GB03 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 5 p.m. on Friday the 29th of March. Full terms and privacy notice at gbnews.com/win. Please check the closing time if watching or listening on demand. Good luck.
Dubes & Co. Weekdays from 6 p.m.
Get this right, we all know by now, don't we, that so many NHS workers are abused by people that they're trying to help. We'll all agree that that is pretty damn disgraceful, but what do we do about it? Because now some London hospitals are looking at whether or not they should be able to ban people that do this for a year from those hospital facilities. Is that the way forward? Daniel, do you like this? No abuse, no excuse, that is the campaign?
There's no other choice for most people. It's either the NHS or nothing. And if you're going to take that monopolistic power, then you need, I think, you have responsibilities towards people. You can't cut them off. So there are ways in which, of course, you can bring criminal charges against them. If they commit a criminal offence, that's fine. They might even be locked up in jail. But what you can't do is cut off health services because you're the only supplier.
Well, yes, I think you can cut it off, and you should cut it off. London is very different from everywhere else, and it goes back to a conversation about immigration. The majority of nurses in London are either African or Filipino, and it harks back to their nature and their culture. When you're younger, your parents look after you. When you're older, you look after them. They don't go into homes. So there's a way that a threshold of tolerance they have that is above and beyond most people. So, because I found like when I was younger, most of the nurses were white. Now they work in hospitals in Ascot and Somerset. London is the war zone. I have seen horrific things happen to nurses, and they stay. They show up for work. There's a protection they are owed, beyond owed. And if you abuse something that's offered to you as a part of your citizenship, there should be a penalty for that. For the same reason,
you're obliged to use it. There's no offer involved in the NHS.
But there is an offer, because at the end of the day, like you figure out how to get money and go private. So just because you've created something that gives you no, it's easy. If it's
that's
easy,
an impossible solution.
They've created something that's kind and easy and beneficial to all, indeed. But it's a good thing for all. Do not abuse it. That simple.
Good morning, it's 9 o'clock on Sunday the 10th of March. It is Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to you. Today,
huge crowds gathered in London yesterday as pro-Palestinian protests took to the streets again. But discrepancies in the way these marches are being policed is causing controversy. We'll be joined by Camilla Tominey in just a moment.
Princess Diana's brother, Earl Spencer, claims he was sexually abused from the age of 11 at boarding school.
And tonight, if you can stay up long enough, it's Hollywood's Night of Nights. It's the Oscars, and all the stars will be there, gathering on the red carpet to celebrate the best in movies. We'll be looking ahead to the likely big winners.
and it is Mothering Sundays. Do get in touch and tell us how you are celebrating today, or indeed give us a message to your lovely mum or your granny, and we will read as many as we can out on air.
And what about the weather?
Hello there, good morning. It is a cloudy, damp start for many of us first thing. Will it improve at all? Will there be some sunshine? Find out all the weather details coming up soon.
Lovely to be with you. I'm Anne Diamond.
And I'm Ellie Costello, and this is Breakfast on GB News.
Oh, we've been talking all day, of course, all day. Well, we've been on for the last 3 hours.
3 hours, yes.
Yeah, about the fact that it's Mother's Day, and very well put, Penelope, for correcting us. It is actually Mothering Sunday. Mother's Day is the American version, which isn't till May. Yes, it is Mothering Sunday. Ali from Gateshead. Wow, Ali, I've got to read out your message. I don't know if I'll get through it. She said, my mum has had dementia for many years, but it has finally really taken hold of her now. This will be the first year when she will not know that I'm her daughter. I can't tell you how hard that is, but I will still be seeing her and wishing her a happy Mother's Day and hoping it gets through even a little. I just pray my children never have to go through this with me.
These are very moving today, very, very moving. Eileen says, my mum passed away 34 years ago and I miss her every single day. Mother's Day is hard, but I'll be popping to see her later as she's not far from me.
That's lovely.
I think
if you
lots
live
of people
near.
will be doing that, won't they?
Gemma says, please wish my mum Diane a happy Mother's Day. She is the strongest woman I know. The week after she retired, so obviously she was thinking of retirement, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, aged just 38. She immediately took over caring for my triplet boys, who were 8 years old, so that's no mean feat, is it? Whilst I underwent treatments and major surgeries so that my husband could continue working. She is currently doing daily hospital visits to her partner, who's had a stroke, and she is still smiling. We're all looking forward to having lunch together today. We all love you so much. What a strong... Isn't it wonderful when mothers are strong?
Yeah, strong mothers and strong women, honestly. Some of these mums just sound incredible. Brenda says, wishing my dearest mum and my mum-in-law, that's lovely as well, a very happy Mother's Day. I would give anything to spend Mother's Day with you both again. Cherish your mothers today, as every day they are with us is precious.
Yeah.
That's a big
Elaine
message.
says we lost our lovely mum, Kathy, on the 11th of December, just before Christmas. She fought a brave 2-year battle with ovarian cancer. Our dad looked after her at home wonderfully. She made it to my 60th in November and Dad's 80th on December the 3rd. She was determined to reach his big milestone. She passed away peacefully a week later, and we miss her deeply.
And finally, this one from David, who says, I became an orphan at 75 when my mum, Annie, died 18 months ago at the age of 108. Wow, what an amazing age. She was such a strength to all of her sons and all of her grandchildren, and they would literally rush to help them whenever and wherever they were and for whatever they needed. We think of her all the time and what a truly loving family matriarch should be. Love and memories to our Nana.
That's beautiful.
Isn't that lovely?
I love that word matriarch as well, because we lost, as you know, I told you this morning, I've got a big sister and a little sister, and there are the three of us, and our mum died a few years ago, but she was the family matriarch. She was the one you went to with all your problems. She knew exactly how to sort it out because she'd lived through such an experience before, and she was an absolute strength. And when she died, my big sister suddenly realised, I'm the matriarch now.
Oh, wow.
Yes, you're the matriarch now.
Like the baton had been passed.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's quite a baton to pass.
What, and big shoes to fill. No, exactly the same. I was just thinking, so my granny, Dorothy, may be watching this morning. Happy Mother's Day to you. She is the matriarch of our family. Yeah. She is the closest, and I said it yesterday, she's the closest to a saint that I have met in human form.
Oh, that's a lovely thing
Never
to say.
heard her speak a bad word about a single soul in her entire life. And she's the matriarch of our family.
And that's the sort of value that a good matriarch hands on down through the generations. And you look up to that person because they know what to do, how to behave. They know how to reprimand you if you're naughty.
Yes.
They know how to remind you of your manners.
Yes, well, she doesn't take nonsense.
No, absolutely.
So that's exactly what she is. The nicest person ever, but she wouldn't take nonsense.
You don't want a mum or a nana who's a snowflake, do you? You want them to be strong.
No, you do. And strong women, that is what is so lovely with these emails coming in this morning, is not only the outpouring of love, but also the strength of these women and these mothers.
Well, we derive strength, I think, from those sort of relationships.
We do.
And that's why it's worth celebrating today.
And the royals are also celebrating Mother's Day, aren't they? The Prince and Princess of Wales have just released a Mother's Day photo on their official Instagram account. On Instagram, they have written, "Thank you for your kind wishes and continued support over the last 2 months. Wishing everyone a happy Mother's Day. C."
For Catherine.
For Catherine. Very interesting.
Isn't it lovely to have heard from her?
Oh, how lovely. And what beautiful. I really hope that is a recent picture. I believe it is. Sat in the middle with the children around her. Let's hope so.
That gives us some real comfort in knowing that she is doing OK. And Buckingham Palace have also released a Mother's Day picture of the King and his mum, of course, who he will be missing so much today.
And on their Instagram, the royal family have written, "Wishing all mothers and those who are missing their mums today a peaceful Mothering Sunday." And that is just such a beautiful image for them to choose. Black and white image of the late Queen smiling, beaming up at the now King Charles, kissing his mother's hand. It really is a beautiful image of mother and son, isn't it?
Doesn't matter how big and powerful and important you are, you could be the king of a country and a commonwealth and you'll still miss your mum today. Joining us now, our royal correspondent, Cameron Walker. A very good morning to you, Cameron.
Good morning, Anne. Yes, I think, well, let's start talking about Kensington Palace's new photograph, which they have just released. It is the first official photograph we have had of the Princess of Wales since her abdominal surgery in January. I can tell you that it is a very recent photograph. It was taken earlier this week in Windsor by Prince William. And of course, it shows Princess Catherine there sat with her 3 children, Prince George, Princess Charlotte and Prince Louis. And this is certainly a day of reassurance, I think, because, of course, there's been so much speculation, particularly over the last few weeks, about the state of the Princess of Wales's health. Then we had that intrusive, unofficial paparazzi photograph of her in a car with her mother earlier this week. But now we have an official photograph showing that clearly all is well and she is continuing her recovery as expected. We always were told that she's not going to carry out any public engagements until after Easter. But she is clearly there smiling with her 3 children. And she has also written a message, as I think you spoke in your introduction. She said, "Thank you for your kind wishes and continued support over the last 2 months. Wishing everyone a happy Mother's Day, Catherine." So there we go, the Princess of Wales pictured for the first time.
And that is a photograph that the nation wanted to see, isn't it? I'm so glad they understood that we needed to see that and to make the point that it is a very recent photograph because, and even to the lovely sort of domestic side of it, it just seems to be like anyone would have. It's outside in the garden and it was taken by Prince William. So they've kept it very close. It's not sort of official. It's something they've just decided to share with us.
You're totally right. That is exactly what the nation needed. They needed that reassurance. They needed to see the Princess of Wales. So that is a real relief, isn't it, Cameron? Wanted to ask you about Buckingham Palace as well, because they have released a really moving Mother's Day picture of the King and the late Queen, haven't they? It's a beautiful choice.
Yeah, it certainly is. A black and white photograph taken when it was the then Prince Charles, of course, on the polo field, and a very smiling, beaming, happy Queen Elizabeth II as Prince Charles has just finished his polo match. And of course, it is bittersweet for him because, of course, King Charles no longer has his mother around, but he is monarch and he has a blended family. The Queen Camilla, of course, has her own 2 children and lots of grandchildren. And King Charles has the Prince and Princess of Wales and, of course, Prince Harry and Meghan across the other side of the Atlantic. So it is a day very much of perhaps celebrating family too. Mothering Sunday, of course, very important in many British lives, and the royal family very much marking that in their own way. And you mentioned the Princess of Wales, the fact that it was Prince William taking the photograph. This is a trend, I think, from the Prince and Princess of Wales. Gone are the days where they would invite perhaps a couple of news photographers to take an official photograph of the royal. Instead, they do it themselves in the privacy of their own home. And you see the children there. I don't know if you can bring the picture back up. But they're all really happy. They're all really relaxed because they know it's their father taking the photograph rather than a stranger, a news photographer. And that's what we see for every birthday of the royal child as well. It tends to be the Princess of Wales who has taken that official photograph rather than a news photographer. And I think it just shows the kind of intimate family units that the Waleses really have.
Well, they've understood the difference, haven't they? I mean, well, we know that Catherine isn't undertaking any official royal duties at the moment. That's fine. But they have still bothered to to share their little private moment with us. And it really is so reassuring because Catherine looks well. She really does look well. And the kids all look happy. And it's a lovely foursome there, taken by Prince William. Says it all, doesn't it?
Yeah, and the body language is so lovely, isn't it? Yeah. So, you know, it's just beautiful to see.
I like the idea. It just could be anyone's back garden.
Oh, yeah,
as well.
it's lovely, isn't it? It's just what we needed, as you said. Cameron, I do want to ask you about these reports that we've got coming in at the moment of a car that crashed into the gates of Buckingham Palace in the early hours of this morning. Tell us what we know so far.
Yes, so we know the car did, as you said, crashed into the front gates of the palace. Those gates were damaged, I'm told. No members of the royal family were in residence at Buckingham Palace at the time. We're also told that the person who was driving the car has been arrested by police. There's social media images of the car being absolutely swamped, as you can probably imagine, by armed police officers. I also understand that repairs to that iconic gate are very much underway. So no reports of any injuries, no members of the royal family, as I said, in residence. We don't know the circumstances as to why the car crashed into those gates. No doubt the Metropolitan Police will give us more details perhaps later today, particularly if anybody is charged. But it looks like the incident was very well contained by police and security services at Buckingham Palace. So the only damage appears to be the gate, which is being repaired as we speak.
I'm sure they've got a spare pair in a garage somewhere, haven't they?
Oh, I'm sure they do.
Yeah.
Cameron, we believe you were at your mother's house. Is that correct for Mother's Day?
Yes, I am. I'm in Warwickshire. She's probably watching in a different room, me on the telly, so she's probably surprised seeing the flowers and everything in the background of the shots. But yes.
And what's your message? What's your message to your mum on Mother's Day? I'm going to put you on the
embarrass
spot.
him.
No, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay. Happy Mother's Day, Julie. Thank you for everything. And we're going for a nice lunch this afternoon. So, yeah.
Excellent.
Ah, Cameron.
That's great.
He's a star.
Thanks so much, Cameron, and thank you for bringing us those pictures, particularly of the Prince and the Princess of Wales and the children, but also that lovely one of King Charles. Aww. It reminds you, doesn't it, of those, when, was it one of the Jubilee things, when he got up to do a speech and he said, "Your Majesty, Mummy." Oh. And the crowd went mad.
Yeah, it's so lovely to see those moments, isn't it, of the family. A real human moment.
And we mustn't
them.
forget, we've got to say happy birthday to Prince Edward as well.
Yes, we do.
Duke of Edinburgh.
60
he's
years
60
old.
today, can you believe?
And again, loving moment between him and Sophie this week. Just lovely words between them, describing each other as their best friend and their rock. It's been lovely.
The royal family are getting a bit cuddly, aren't they?
It is, and I like it.
Yes, I like it too.
That's what I...
OK, well, it's 13 minutes past 9 already, and it's been a very busy morning here on Breakfast because we've been discussing those pro-Palestinian protests which blocked the capital yesterday. Joining us now ahead of her programme, which is coming up at 9:30, is Camilla Tominey, and I'm sure this is something you're going to be delving deep into today. Who with, Camilla?
Absolutely, ladies. Well, I'm going to be speaking to the government's anti-Semitism czar, John Mann. He's a former Labour MP. He's been advising the government for some years. He came out with some pretty punchy words in The Sun on Sunday this morning, talking about that idea of London having become a no-go zone for Jewish people because of the protests, and saying that it's become a hostile environment. So I'll be putting that to him. I'm also going to be chatting to the Health Secretary, Victoria Atkins. She's been looking at anti-Semitism when it comes to some healthcare professionals. One particular doctor is under investigation. But I also want to broaden that out, and I would like to know the government's response, actually, to the arrest of that protester yesterday for carrying a poster simply saying Hamas are terrorists. I mean, the man was Iranian. He seemed to be dealt with pretty robustly by police, even though the poster was snatched out of his hands. And it did seem to me to be disproportionate in relation to the response to some of the pro-Palestinian marches.
We're also, I'm sure, going to be reflecting on the budget this week, the spring budget, because you had the former Chancellor on the programme as well, don't you?
Well, I thought that the former Chancellor Kwasi Kwarteng was a little bit conspicuous by his absence in the House as Jeremy Hunt delivered that statement on Wednesday. Didn't see Liz Truss either, but of course very intrigued for his view of the economic proposals that have been made. The Sunday Telegraph has got a pretty damaging story basically saying that half the country don't think the budget will make any difference. Yeah. And I thought it was interesting the lack of coverage of the budget this morning. Not much on it because there wasn't much in it. So I'll be speaking to Kwasi about that. I've also got an interview with Andrew Rossendale. He has faced a 4-year investigation at the back of a complaint about him and his sexual wrongdoing. The police have completely cleared him of any of those accusations. So he's going to be talking to me, that's the Tory MP for Romford, for the very first time about an ordeal that has completely overshadowed his life and career for the last 4 years.
And you've got Johnson on the
I've got
programme, but it's not Boris, it's his dad.
It's his dad, Stanley. He's writing a book about Marco Polo, which I'll be asking him about. But of course, with lots of stories in the papers today about bringing back Boris, I shall be asking him that question too. Does his son want to return to the Westminster fold?
It's a question I'm sure many of our viewers are asking.
Some people are saying it's the only way the Conservatives can win again.
Yeah. There's a lot of people calling for it. Thank you so much, Camilla. It's a packed show. Really looking forward to it. Thank you very much indeed. Yeah, it certainly is.
OK, shall we find out about the weather?
Yeah, Greg's got the details for us.
A brighter outlook with Box Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to your latest GB News weather from the Met Office. It's going to be a cloudy day today. There'll be outbreaks of light rain and drizzle, and it's still a chilly feel for the time of year too. And looking at the picture for this morning, a lot of cloud across the UK, outbreaks of rain across many areas, just a bit of sunshine towards the southwest, and that remains so for the afternoon too, but this could trigger 1 or 2 showers as we move through into the evening time. Elsewhere, generally it stays cloudy for much of the day. Outbreaks of light rain and drizzle, and the wind's still coming in off the North Sea, so a chilly feel for many of us. Into the evening time, this rain will continue to push its way westward. Still a lot of low cloud behind it, some drizzle in places too. So a damp evening to come, and that takes us into Monday as well. It remains cloudy through Sunday night. Further outbreaks of light rain and drizzle in places, some low cloud leading to some foggy conditions over the higher ground, and temperatures again falling to around mid-single figures due to the cloud cover not falling too low at all. But it does mean another cloudy grey start to Monday. Outbreaks of rain and drizzle feeding in off the North Sea, particularly down these eastern areas, remaining quite damp for much of the day. Best of any brighter spells will be towards western coast, but even here it will remain largely cloudy through the day. Some showery rain for Northern Ireland too, and temperatures just about getting into double figures. See you soon.
Looks like things are heating up. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
And now is your chance to enter our latest Great British Giveaway and win £12,345 in cash and a whole host of treats.
We have a ton of top prizes to be won in our spring giveaway. There's a massive £12,345 in tax-free cash to spend however you like, along with £500 in shopping vouchers for your favourite store, a games console, a pizza oven, and a portable Sonos smart speaker. And the best news? You could be our next big winner, just like Phil.
Whoever wins it next is going to be as happy as I was, and they're going to get even more money this time round, so why wouldn't you go in the draw?
For your chance to win the vouchers, the treats, and £12,345 in tax-free cash, text GBWIN to 84902. Text costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message, or post your name and number to GB03 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 5 p.m. on Friday the 29th of March. Full terms and privacy notice at gbnews.com/win. Please check the closing time if watching or listening on demand. Good luck.
Yes, good luck indeed. Now, do stay with us. Still to come, we're going to take a look at today's Oscars nominations, because that's taking place in LA tonight, I believe. As we look forward to the Ken Extraordinaire, it's going to be Ryan Gosling with, I believe, 65 other Kens on the stage tonight. You don't want to miss that.
I'm Christopher Hope.
And I'm Gloria Di Piero, bringing you
PMQ's Live here on GB News. Every Wednesday, we'll bring you live coverage of Prime Minister's questions when Rishi Sunak and Sir Keir Starmer go head-to-head in the House of Commons.
We'll be asking our viewers and listeners to submit the questions that they would like to put to the Prime Minister, and we'll put that to our panel of top politicians in our Westminster studio.
That's PMQ's Live here on GB News, Britain's election channel.
I think the most exciting bit for me is talking to people.
People who I think are ignored often by the major news channels. We're going to give news they want to hear. There's a voice there that needs to be heard. I think there's a chance here for a diversity of opinion to be expressed, which you don't find elsewhere. It's really exciting.
We don't hold back. We're free to say how decisions that are taken here
affect us all around the country. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Mark Dolan Tonight, weekends from 9 p.m.
Kinsey, great to have you back on the show. Now, listen, we're not slated to talk about the Prince Harry story, but I've kind of surprised a few people by suggesting that I think he should have armed royal protection when he's in Britain. What do you think?
Well, they aren't my tax dollars that are paying for Prince Harry's protection, but I agree with you. I think that he should feel safe, and he should feel safe to bring his family back to see his father if that's the case.
Well, his stepmother, Kinsey, Queen Camilla, gets a well-deserved break. Tell me more.
That's right. Queen Camilla has no engagements on her agenda this week, with the Times reporting that she will spend a few days of downtime with the king. Camilla has been working overtime to support the monarchy. Just last month, she repeatedly drove over 6 hours to a royal engagement after her flight was grounded because she reportedly did not want to let down her husband. She will resume engagements on March 11th, representing the king and leading the royal family for the Commonwealth Day service at Westminster Abbey. A source told the Times, although she was not expecting to find herself in the position of leading the family, the Queen is absolutely prepared to do whatever needs to be done for the institution. And can I just say, speaking of Harry, I think the fact that Queen Camilla is seen as leading the family is significant proof that Prince Harry would not return to temporarily support the family, because Camilla's elevated position is likely not something sitting well with him right now. He loved Queen Elizabeth II. He likely resents the idea of Queen Camilla. And we know that that's a position he felt like his mother should be in.
Most definitely. He was very nasty about Queen Camilla in his book Spare.
He was. So I imagine that the idea of her leading the family is something he has a hard time digesting.
Hello again, it's Mother's Day. I think you probably get that by now. And the one great thing about sitting here on a programme is you can say it directly to your mum. Yeah! Well, Stephanie Tetchy has been talking Oscars to us all morning. Yeah. She wanted to stay to the end so she could say something very special.
Happy Mother's Day to my darling mother, Agnes. I love you so much, and thank you for always being my voice of reason and my rock.
Oh, that's not right. And then, very jealously, everybody backstage in what we call the gallery have wanted to have their say to their mums. So this is from Seb in the gallery. He's a big cheese. Sending a message to Julie, who's been my mum for 33 years as of next week. I can't always be around as I work away a lot, but I wouldn't be where I am without her constant and infallible support. She raised me on her own. She's a force of good in a sometimes dark world, and I'm half the person she is, and then I'll know I've done things right.
Sebastian.
Yeah, lovely.
That is beautiful, beautiful words there, Sebastian. Cooper, who's in charge today. To Katie, happy Mother's Day to you back home in Sydney. Lucky you, you're going to get a double Mother's Day this year.
And from Caris in the gallery, happy Mother's Day, Mum Joanne. Sorry I can't be with you today. She's working. I'll treat you to one of our girly days soon. Love you lots.
Isha says, happy Mother's Day, Mum. Thanks for always being there for me. I wouldn't be here without you.
No, that's true.
I think
Laura says, happy Mother's Day to my mum, Susie, and a big thank you for looking after my kids today so that I can work. You're a fantastic woman, and thank you for everything you do.
And Joseph, one of our producers, says, happy Mother's Day to my mum, who's always embarrassing him. And apparently we have a photo.
Brilliant.
Joseph's mum. Oh, we needed her name.
Yeah. And that one's from
that's
Keith.
fabulous.
Sophie wishes her mum Sarah a happy Mother's Day. We're just making sure we get everybody in.
Make sure everybody's in.
We've got another lovely picture. This is from Bevan Macclesfield, who says, this is a shout-out to my mum, Berry Hunt, 88 years young, mum to 4, grandmother to 8, great-grandmother to 13, and loved by all.
Wow.
She's done so much for all of us. That's her there. Fabulous. And we've got to go. We've run out of time. Happy Mother's Day.
Yes, happy Mother's Day to you. Camilla Tominey is up next. Happy Mother's Day, Camilla.
Tired of the usual focus-tested, pre-prepared Westminster runaround? Well, so am I.
So you want higher taxes?
Is your department to blame for this? Are you rethinking this policy? Every Sunday at 9:30, I'll be sitting down with those in power to get the truth about the issues affecting you.
Let's be honest, we've known about the cost pressures of this project for years, not months.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show with personality. On GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, and I'm not here to tell you what to think. I'd much rather hear what you have to say. So, send in your opinions to gbviews@gbnews.com. Keep them clean, and you never know, I might read them out. With my panel here on Jubes & Co, we debate, we get stuck into the issues of the day on a show where all views are welcome, especially yours. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Free Speech Nation, Sunday nights from 7 p.m.
I've got an idea. I think that all 30-year-olds should be given £10,000 from the banks of baby boomers. We've got a situation in this country now where millennials are the first generation in modern times expecting to be poorer than their parents. We, as 30-year-olds like me, are half as likely to own a house as people my age 30 years ago. In fact, the cost of a home in Britain compared to average incomes has as big a gap today as it did, wait for it, in the 1860s. It is a Dickensian situation.
Now, I'm sorry about the housing crisis for your generation.
You're not, though, are you?
No,
because you're profiting from it.
I'm profiting from it. Don't be ridiculous.
The house prices now, compared to that period.
If this is the case, Benjamin...
Have incomes gone up that fast?
To penalise and punish the elderly when they have worked all their lives to put into the system and say it's your fault, whingy, whiny, we're going to be envious... No!